come on. Who is that, Biffy? Come on. This is getting ridiculous. Yeah, let me pull up the story so I can talk about it. We'll talk about that for a minute before John. We'll talk about you and I can talk about this for a minute, and I'll do a capital report before I get to John too, so we can get that out of the way. That's assuming John calls, which he told me he would, so.
With the Watchdog, live and local, just the way you like it.
Live and local conversation for the Ohio Valley continues shortly, here on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
For generations, Made in America has stood for quality and craftsmanship in manufacturing, food production, technology, and construction.
The Made in America label has brought our country economic security and our innovations to the world.
Made in America isn't just a slogan, it's the story of our country, the men and women who sacrificed to build our nation.
It's our commitment to hard work, ingenuity, and to making things better than the way we found them.
America is ready to get back to work.
And we can start by rebuilding our infrastructure,
strengthening our manufacturing manufacturing base.
and investing in our businesses and our communities.
Made in America means hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country.
It means new transportation, clean energy, and telecommunications networks,
It means a healthier environment.
national security, and economic freedom.
That's good for our families, good for the world,
And good for our future.
Let's get America back to work.
Let's invest in Ohio.
Let's invest in us. Learn more at let'sinvestinus.com.
Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions Forum.
Does this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
Hello everyone, from the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Look for partly sunny skies, daytime high near 40 degrees, clear, cool overnight, temperatures down to about 20 degrees for the low. You'll see plenty of sunshine around for your Friday, with highs in the lower 40s. Have yourself a great day everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Greetings. Welcome to the show. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
TGI Friday.
It's Friday.
All day long.
It's Friday. That is our biggest day.
Thank God it's Friday!
It's about time.
And now here to entertain you,
The finest broadcaster.
My favorite show.
Showtime!
Your morning news, weather, and sports wrapped into his own unique perspective. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard in the producer's chair. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
You know, I'm going to lose my liberal card here one of these days, I suppose, over the issue of being unable to understand cultural inappropriateness. We just carry some of this stuff too far. God, I'm a liberal. I think we have to be careful about language, but a plantation is just a place in which people are. I mean, it's not necessarily a slave. I don't know if you caught the story in ABC News. Biffy, you heard the story, right?
Yes, I did.
Creighton University's men's basketball coach, Greg McDermott, suspended after he told his players after a locker room speech. What he was saying was, hey, don't go out and party, basically, right? And he says, I want you to stay on the plantation. Plantation. Slaves used to be on the plantation. And he was suspended for saying that. That's asinine. I mean, that's ludicrous. That's ridiculous. That's foolish. Hey, stay on the plantation. That doesn't say, like, well, you're a slave, we're going to keep you on the plantation. It's just, God. I'm going to lose my liberal card. I know I am. They're going to take it away from me. And then, so he's suspended, and somebody told him to say these things. So the coach said, I made a mistake and I own it. Mistakes come with consequences, and I accept and agree with the suspension. On Twitter, he said, I use a terribly inappropriate analogy of making a point about staying together as a team despite the loss. Come on. It's not terribly inappropriate. We don't use the N-word. I understand that. I mean, there are things we don't, we don't say, if you don't do that, I'm going to lynch you. I mean, I get that. Stay on the plantation? Isn't that just kind of a generic phrase for saying, don't go?
He could have said a heck of a lot worse.
That's absolutely right. He didn't say, oh, you slaves stay on my plantation. He didn't say that. He just said, come on. Who is this the quote from? Before I get to John here. Who is this a quote from? The athletic director of Creighton. After our men's basketball team returned to Omaha earlier today, Father Hendrickson and I engaged with other senior leaders in dialogue and discussion regarding appropriate sanctions for the remarks made by the head men's basketball coach that were not in alignment with our commitment to racial equality, diversity, and respect. Somebody tell me how saying stay on the plantation is not in compliance with racial diversity. What are the other things they said here? Racial diversity, racial equality, diversity. How is that not in compliance? God.
Someone's feelings got hurt and they complained. That's what college kids or students do nowadays when they don't like a coach. When their feelings get hurt because a coach said something not in particular to them but to the team, and all it takes is one person, they go and complain to whoever, and you see the result like you see it, like you just saw here at Creighton. I've seen it happen everywhere else in the country when it does.
John McCabe is with us, the editor of the local newspapers, Intelligencer and News Register, and so he can now a chance for him once again to say, Howard, I'm glad to see you're coming over to our side. Go ahead, you can say that, John. I can tell you what to say.
No, I'm glad you're, maybe what I'd say here, I'm glad you're finally realizing the utter folly of your side. It is total ridiculousness anymore. And, it may not even have been, here's the problem, it may not even have been a player who complained. It may have been, some a third-rate, equipment manager who heard that, and and try not to dismiss it. Should the coach have said plantation? Maybe not. Did he? Do I think he actually meant anything with any negative connotation? No.
John, if you had heard that phrase, if you were at lunch, if you were at a meeting, and somebody, let's keep it in context, he's saying, I don't want you guys to go out, I just want you to stay on the plantation. Would the thought even cross your mind that there was something wrong with that phrase?
No, by no means, no. I think that, undoubtedly no. But, this is the times that we live in. I don't care who decided not to, to take some Dr. Seuss books out of circulation. It's happening because of the times we live in. This is where we're at. There's a huge move, and I'm sure you've read about it, and maybe you talked about it. And I'll just say, quote, cancel, William Shakespeare and many classical literature, masters, that because of the context of how they wrote and the subjects they wrote about.
Well, of course, it's not new. I mean, some of Mark Twain's books, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, for decades have been the subject in certain libraries or certain school systems. We can't teach that, because there's inappropriate, they use the N-word in Tom Sawyer, for example. Well, because that's the language that was used when Mark Twain was writing.
Exactly.
You can't.
If you don't understand your past and your history and how you got to where you are, that's what life's all about. You've got to understand where you came from and how you got to where you are. We have such, I was talking to someone about this last night. All these things we're dealing with in so many ways on these political issues are such first world problems where we have people complaining over the nuance of how a word was used 200 years ago or 400 years ago. And I sit and I think, this is why societies like ours don't last forever, because you get fat and lazy and complacent, and you lose focus of what's important and start arguing over these minuscule details. And, it just feels like we're on a really downward trek right now in a lot of ways.
Now, I also think that some people infer too much into what's said. Hasbro this week talked about they're going to package their potato heads and only call it potato head. So when you buy a box that says potato head, it won't say Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head. But they're still going to have Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head. And I think some people went a little bit berserk on that. Oh my God, they're getting rid of Mrs. Potato. No, they're just changing the way they're packaging things. But I don't know. they're going to take my liberal card away. And I like my liberal card. I'd like to keep it. But on some of these issues, it just goes too far. It just plain goes too far.
Well, this is where we're at. And particularly at the the higher education academia level, they have nothing better to do but to sit around and think about these things, and it makes it hard. Unlike the rest of us who have to go to work every day and have to produce something and actually account for our time, we have far too many people who just troll the internet and waiting for the next next group to jump on. Exactly. Outrage is a good word.
Yeah. Hey, now, the important thing, how was that Kentucky hot brown last night?
I couldn't even eat. I barely ate, not even close to half of it. It is so good. It is so filling. I woke up in the middle of the night and felt like I had been kicked in the head because of that cheese gravy, backflash and everything. It was really good. Always a good one. It's just it was just really good, and I know you were jealous, so that made it even better.
And that's why you sent me the picture.
I do. You know it is.
Just wanted to irritate me. I understand that. But I haven't had a hot brown of course, I haven't had a meal out for a long time, anyways. But
Howard, that would probably just stop your heart right in mid-beat, so you might want to stay away from it.
Yeah, it really is. I tempt fate with some of the stuff that I eat, but that really is those hot browns are so good. Mm-hmm. They're just so good. So, and I'm thinking the West may be one of the places I'll be able to. I'm getting very close to being willing to go do outdoor dining. Mm-hmm. It's too cold today, but another few weeks when the weather gets a little bit warmer, I'm not ready to go indoors and sit down and have a restaurant experience inside. But I'm getting close to being ready for outdoor dining, and that may be one of my first places to go. The West has some outdoor options there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really want to thank you for sending me that picture.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm sure your wife probably loves me for it, so get you drooling all over the couch there.
What are we having for dinner tonight? And she said, I don't know, make yourself a chipped ham sandwich. And I said, but look at this picture that John sent me. It's a Kentucky hot brown. She said, well, I hope John enjoyed it.
Well, see, you can tell her what you do is you just need, you've got chipped ham, throw it on a big old slice of bread and cover it with gravy and cheese, and there you go. You can call that the West Virginia hot brown.
There you go. Oh, I like that.
The Wheeling hot brown with chipped ham.
Hot brown. I like that. All right, John, let me do a quick break, and then let's talk about the income tax proposal. And there are some other issues going on in the local area we want to talk about as well. John McCabe is with me, the newspaper editor, as we talk about the Ohio Valley and statewide news week in review. We'll get into our details coming up next on the Watchdog Morning Show.
Wake up to the Ohio Valley.
Washington County's largest gun show is back on Saturday and Sunday, April 10th and 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Admission is just $7, and kids under 12 get in free with an adult. Everyone is welcome. They offer free appraisals and have great prices on all types of firearms, modern, military, and antique. They have over 450 tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or call 724-948-3571 for more information. That's 724-948-3571 for more information. That's Washington County Gun Show, presented by ARH Sports Shop, April 10th and 11th.
Sherrard, the watchdog, is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hobby Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Sherrard trusts the watchdog.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care of you.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
WKKX and WVLY, voted coolest couple in their high school yearbook.
Here's a look at the Ohio Valley local news week in review with newspaper editor John McCabe and Howard Monroe.
It's 23 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. A little light wind blowing around makes it feel like it's 14 degrees, so it's still a cold morning this morning, up to around 40 before the day is over and done with. Nice sunny skies outside right now, and will stay that way most of the day. 9:25, McCabe and I kicking around now some of the news of the past week. John, we thought that the income tax reduction proposal would be the biggest issue of the legislature because the governor made that the highlight of his State of the State speech. Lawmakers actually have gone through most of their list of items already before this income tax proposal finally gets to them. But the governor did outline it in detail yesterday. What was your reaction to what he had to what this proposal looks like?
Well, I guess to kind of build off of what you initially said with, the legislature getting a lot of its priorities moving quickly, that does give a lot of time for the legislature over more than a month coming up to really work through the governor's proposal. So my initial thoughts were, some good starting points in there. I've made it very clear I like the idea of trying something different. I heard you for a little while with your last guest and other people talking, and I have a question for you based upon the sales tax rate, which granted, I don't like to see the sales tax rate in Wheeling to go to 8.9%, but do you really think? And here's what I would ask. If you're doing weekly grocery shopping and you spend $150 a week, are you going to drive across the river to Walmart in St. Clairsville to save $3 or $4.50 as opposed to going to the Highlands or Kroger? I think the answer is no, particularly when you factor in, your good old buddy Uncle Joe Biden has gas prices going through the roof right now. So are you going to spend $6 in gas to save $3 in taxes? I mean, the two don't equate.
So first of all, the two have no bearing on each other.
Sure they do.
Joe Biden hasn't raised gas prices, but let's
put it this way.
Let's not have that argument right now. Let's just set that aside.
Let's go. Come on, Howard.
The answer to your question is not for $3, but if I'm making a large purchase, buying a lot of things, if I'm going to do
like what?
If I'm going to do Christmas shopping and I'm going to buy all kinds of things, yes, the difference between 8.9%.
Come on.
No, it does make a difference, and I say that because we go shop across the river anyway. I mean, it's not like we're having to make a decision to go to Pittsburgh. We're saying we're going to go shop at a place we often shop at anyways, except the sales tax is less. Yes, I think that makes a difference. The bigger issue, though, the sales tax, John, is that it's reducing income tax and trying to make up for it to a large extent with sales tax shifts the burden to more of the lower and moderate income folks who tend to have a greater share of their income paid in used in purchases as opposed to income. It's a shifting of the tax burden to more low and moderate income people than we have with an income tax.
Well,
I don't think it's a wise idea.
I was glad to see Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it puts us at the highest sales tax rate in the country.
That is one thing that really kind of did strike me. I mean, when we're outranking California in taxes, that's a little worrisome. I mean, I was really, I started looking into that yesterday and realized we would be, almost, 0.65% higher just at the state income tax level than California is.
That doesn't count adding the city income tax.
Yeah. So, I think that's why, again, I'm glad that the legislature has a lot of time to work through this. I think there's a lot of things that need tweaked in this proposal. New ideas that will come forth. I think that, again, this isn't coming out 3 weeks before the session. They've got 4.5 weeks to kind of work through this, and maybe longer. Maybe this runs into a special session afterward. I think it's important, though, and, you had a Center for Budget Policy guest on before, and they have, their numbers usually are really good, and I would never criticize their analysis, but, I keep coming back to what are we going to do differently other than sit here and wither on the vine, both as a local community, as a state. Our mindset has to change. Is this maybe the best proposal? Yes, maybe no, but
I don't disagree with you. I think that we have to we can't keep on doing the same thing all the time. I agree with you. I would suggest that this is simply another version of the same kind of thing, though, shifting tax burdens around, playing with taxes. If we want to increase revenue, why don't we look at, for example, legalizing cannabis? That would be a brand new revenue stream. You want to think outside the box? There's one option. I'm not even saying I would support that. I'm just saying there are other outside the box options here. My problem with this income tax proposal is the premise on which it's based, I think, is wildly flawed. The idea that we will see hundreds of thousands of people coming into the state because of our income tax, our lack of income tax, I just think is ludicrous. People are not going to come to West Virginia strictly because of that. I'd rather take the money that we're getting, increase income tax if you want to or whatever, and invest it in our schools, invest it in our quality of life issues, invest it in our tourism industry and so on. Why don't we give people something to come for other than they just, so you want to come into the state? No income tax. That's great. Schools are failing, losing more revenue. Public schools going to more charter schools, theoretically. It doesn't work. The premise just doesn't work.
And I think that's a little bit of a hard statement to make that it doesn't work because we don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Look, for all of our disagreements, I think you're a smart man.
Well,
I think you're smart. I think you're a smart man.
Thank you.
And as a smart man, you know and I know that 400,000 people aren't going to come swarming into West Virginia simply because we have no income tax.
I would not disagree with you there. That is, the governor. The governor is the governor. And again, he is a smart man, but he is a salesman. And yesterday when I don't know if he was on with Hoppy or if I heard it somewhere else. I can't remember, but he ended up canceling his town hall meeting last night. But West Virginians will remember this day. Well, March 4th is not going to go down as any different day that the state in the state's history than any other day. I think that again, I think for this to be palatable and feasible, the legislature really has a lot of work to do to make this work. You know as well as I do. There are a lot of changes being pushed in there for professional services and taxing things that currently aren't taxed, and there's going to be a lot of pushback from lobbyist groups.
Your industry and mine will probably push back on his.
Sure. Attorneys will push back because of professional services. Everything. You'll get the legal bar will push back because professional services will be taxed. And again, so there are a lot of things there that I kind of look at initially and think we've got to find a better way. But here's the key: the conversation has now started. And it's going to be interesting to see over the next month where it goes. And my hope is that, again, that the folks in the legislature, in the Senate and the House, come up with some serious ideas that will be better for West Virginia than some of the things proposed here. Again, I look at this and I think, again, some good, good groundwork laid to get the discussion moving. Now, where do we take it from here?
Well, if I had faith that that's what was going to happen, I would agree with you. I do think that we have to, look at different things, and so this is an option. Again, would I like to not pay an income? We're in tax time right now, and
sure,
I guarantee you I'm going to end up writing a check to the state again. So, would I like to not have to pay income tax? Yes, of course I would. If we could find a way to do it that made sense. I don't think this way makes sense.
Well, and the other thing,
I think the premise is so flawed that the governor keeps saying over and over again, well, if it doesn't work, what's the problem? Well, the problem is you've messed things up pretty badly if it doesn't work.
Yeah, and and I think I was going to start to say what the other thing was, and it slipped my mind, but we have some legitimate issues in the state. We have roads that are continue to crumble. And even with the $1.6 billion that voters approved, a few years ago, and other money the state's been able to scrape together, that's barely keeping up with, the maintenance that was at the end life with maintenance for some of these roads. That doesn't count, getting things back to normal. I'm still, until I see the paving start and all this work going, I'm, the Main Street, the downtown streetscaping, I could see that project getting pushed back yet again without any, we've dealt with it now for 8-9 years, getting pushed back. I'm not 100% sold that project is going to happen in its current iteration.
But you're hitting on something though, John, which is that instead of worrying about the income tax reduction, we ought to be worrying about the things that do bring people into the state, or even worse, send people out of the state. One is the condition of the roads. We ought to be putting more money into fixing our roads. I'm not going to touch education because that's a controversial issue right now. The other is broadband. I alternate between laughing and crying when I see the push for remote workers to come to West Virginia, because I think it's a great idea. I'm a huge believer in being a place people can come to work remotely, and Wheeling is a good example of it. But you can encourage people to come to West Virginia to work remotely to New York or wherever when we have literally the second worst internet access in the country. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Let's fix these problems first. That's what will bring people here.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. It's all going to be part of a package. It does. And we're just going to have to see, I think the big thing with this is have to see where the legislature takes this, and if it gets anywhere. I mean, this may be something that just doesn't gain enough traction this session, and may be done next year, may be done in a special section. I don't know. I just think if we continue to do things the way we've done them, always done them, we might as well just turn the lights out and shut the door right now.
Don't disagree, but I also think we when we look at some things outside the box, we have to look at them and go, yeah, it was nice to think outside the box, but it doesn't work. Speaking of which, very quickly, and take a break as just a comment, you and I have talked about broadband outside the box recently. The Mountain State Spotlight people had an interesting article out this week on Starlink. Is that Elon Musk? I think it's his.
Yes.
It's his satellite delivery of internet service, which is in West Virginia, but apparently is not doing well just yet. So I was thinking about you when we were talking about that. Maybe we need to talk about the next stage of internet access as opposed to beefing up the old stage. So
exactly.
All right, let me do a break, John, because this legislature that may be looking at increasing our sales tax sure as heck doesn't want the city to increase anything.
No.
And the city is unhappy about that, City of Wheeling and others. We'll talk about that coming up in a minute. John McCabe is with me, and we are talking about the Ohio Valley News Week in Review here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
What?
Nancy.
High school boys basketball season ended abruptly nearly a year ago due to the pandemic, and the new season begins tonight across the state. Regular season to be played over a truncated 6-week period. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
The visiting Philadelphia Flyers down early 3-0 recorded 4 unanswered goals to edge the Penguins 4-3. Claude Giroux scored 2 of the 4 goals for the Flyers. Guess what? These two teams meet again in Pittsburgh Saturday afternoon. Well, Ben Roethlisberger will return this fall to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll enter season number 18. He'll earn about $14 million this season. The deal will add 4 avoidable years to spread out the dead money. College basketball. How about number 6 West Virginia at home beat TCU by the score of 76-67. The Mountaineers improved to 18-7. Exhibition baseball in a 7-inning contest. The Pirates 6, the Braves 1. The Pirates 2-2 play the Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon in sunny Florida. Well, in the sports collectible department this morning, a Tom Brady rookie card sold for $1.32 million. Once again, that's a lot of money for a piece of cardboard. By the way, it's probably the highest paid price for a football card. Be safe out there. Be considerate of others. Check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Hey, sports fan. Are you ready for the madness that is March? Watchdog style. Tune in every day for your chance to win a spot on our Watchdog bracket. 64 listeners will be given a team to cheer on through the big tournament coming up. And if your team wins the whole thing, you win a huge brand new 4K smart TV. For more information on this contest and much more, check out our Facebook page or our website at thewatchdognetwork.com.
Watch out! He could climb on his soapbox at any time. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
It's 9:42, 18 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Friday. 23 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. John McCabe is with me from the Intelligencer and News Register, and we're discussing some of the Ohio Valley news and review. We talked about the governor's income tax plan. John, the city and the state issues dovetail sometimes. Mayor Elliott has been particularly vocal about, and so have other city officials across the state and even here in Wheeling, Chief Helms among them, speaking at council this week about the discussion of controlling the user fee that the cities have imposed by the state.
Yeah, that continues to be a kind of a hanging issue right now in the House of Delegates. I believe it's moved to House Finance after it passed its initial committee, the political subdivisions, whatever it was. But it's a big concern for Wheeling, Morgantown, Charleston, Parkersburg, a handful of cities, Weirton included in there, that, received authorization through the state, through the legislature. The legislature codified home rule just a few years ago. And, the home rule board, allowed user fees as an acceptable form of taxation. And, so cities, Wheeling, Charleston, they took that money and started looking at ways to to handle infrastructure, to handle public safety. Here in Wheeling, obviously, that money was the user fee was implemented after the failed property tax levy. And I'm trying to get your goat. I know you're trying to calm down a little bit because I got you all worked up here.
I feel like I'm on speed this morning. I'm not. I must have had too much. I was reviewing the last segment that we had. I think in my mind, I said, "Man, I'm going like hyper. I gotta take a deep breath and calm down." I think it's thinking about that Kentucky hot brown.
Kentucky hot brown, give you the cheese gravy sweats or something going on.
Exactly.
But so really, the cities planned their budgets, planned their projects around this user fee and the $1 to $3 to $4 million, whatever brought in, and what initially went from let's exempt state workers, which and I think it was in Wheeling, wasn't a huge impact. I think about $30,000 a year for somewhere like Morgantown, but WVU was $1 million a year. Now that that morphed into, well, why are we even charging a user fee when people are working at home? Et cetera. And, so now, now the cities are, kind of have this, guillotine maybe is a bit of a sensationalized word, but have this weight over their, over their collective heads saying, what's going to happen, what is going to be the will of this legislature, which, I think everyone agrees is extremely hard to predict right now which way things are going to go, particularly in the House. So, the city, to make cities thrive, such as Wheeling, just as we talked in our last segment, Wheeling has utterly different dynamics than Charleston. Different dynamics even from other border areas like Parkersburg, because not only do you have Ohio, 5 minutes one way, you've got Pennsylvania 10 minutes the other. So you've got a much different dynamic, much like the Eastern Panhandle does. So how, again, I thought this debate was over of how we ever thought that Charleston centralized could run a state as, with as many diverse, economic sectors almost as we have. But that's what it's what it feels like we're headed back to, or at least what some of the members there want us to head back to. And it turns cities like Wheeling are stuck.
That's sort of a theme of this legislative session is wresting control from any other entity and residing it in the state, and in some cases specifically in the legislature, which is really the opposite of where we have been going, and where I think both parties felt it made sense to decentralize some of these powers, and that includes taxation, to give cities and others more autonomy to run themselves.
Yeah, and to move back the other way is, in my opinion, just a terrible message right now. We had a lengthy editorial over the weekend, addressing that issue specifically. Republicans have historically been the party of small government, local control, and this group of Republicans at least seems to be, again, at least through the first, now heading into the first month of the session, much the opposite. They're wanting to wrest control away from cities and to put it back within Charleston, which is only going to do one thing, and that's grow the bureaucracy there, at a time when, again, if something like the personal income tax reduction is going to work, it's going to have to work when we have a vibrant, dynamic economy that goes across many markets. It can't work when it's centered in Charleston, because we know what happens there. We dealt with it for 80 years with terrible leadership from the Democrat Party that just ran this state into the ground. And so is that what we want to head back to? 80 years of Republican rule that runs this state into the ground. I think it's a terrible, terrible move.
Right now, I'd trade the bad 80 years of Democrat control for what we've seen from the.
I don't know if I would.
Which has been a mess. But I haven't seen the actual bill. I should be careful about what I'm going to say with this. But I assume it would be retroactive. I mean, I'm assuming that the current user fees would be. Actually, I don't think they want to eliminate them. They just want to reduce them. But anyway, I think they would. So the city would lose money. It's not that they couldn't add more money. They would lose money, right? And the problem, as you alluded to a minute or two ago, John, is that many cities, and we can certainly talk about Wheeling because we know the details of it a good bit more. I mean, they've got some big projects planned and budgeted with user fee money, notably the police headquarters.
Right.
I'll stop right there, and working on new fire station and so on. Take that money out, and I mean they've got a serious problem.
Yep, and what does that do? That shifts that tax burden entirely onto the residents of Wheeling, and they're going to have to figure out how to do that. So, one of the provisos, at least that came out with the bill, the bill that's now in House Finance, is that if a city had a bonded project with its user fee, then it would not, nothing would change.
Right.
My understanding so far is Wheeling has not yet bonded the public safety building, so they could find themselves in a little bit of a lurch with that. And again, and you said it correctly, they're not going to take away the user fee. What they're going to do is basically say, if you don't live in a city, so they're going back to the taxation without representation, argument, which again I'm not totally opposed to, but by the same token, this is on the books. Plans have been made, projects are underway. It's kind of tough to pull that away now and shift that burden entirely, for me, a non-city resident, onto you, a city resident.
But courts have fairly consistently ruled on issues like the user fee. It's not just this user fee, it's the fire service fee. We have others, which is they must be equally applied.
Right.
And if the argument is that the user fee is to pay for services used by people who are in the city of Wheeling, then it's got to apply across the board. You can't exempt some and not exempt others. It's not a city tax. It's a user fee for those who might use the services. And if you work in the city, then you receive the benefit of a good police department. If the building you're in burns down while you're at work, the fire department will come. You ride on, I started to say good roads, but I guess theoretically you ride on good roads. So from a legal point of view, if they insist it not be everybody, I think legally they lose the status of a user fee, which then creates an additional problem.
Yep, in total agreement with you there. But
very quickly before we move off to, I have to move off here in a very fast minute, but one issue that's moving forward in the city of Wheeling is the renovation work, was that the right word to use, on the 19th Street property, the property in East Wheeling that originally had been eyed up for a new police and public safety building, but now is not going to be used for that. But the city bought the property anyways. They began this week to take some steps, first reading of a bill to take some steps to work on that property.
Yeah, that of course was the property they bought from Frank Calabrese for $350,000. It was worth about $350, but a whole different story. That was the initial site of the public safety building, as you mentioned, and it's going to come down, which is good. It needs to come down, and then as we look at what the future is going to be, kind of post-COVID, what plans do they have for that site? What is going to go into that site?
All right, John, I got to run. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Howard.
As always, sir. Don't always appreciate your sending me pictures of food that you're eating when I can't eat it, but other than that, it's always good talking to you.
Have a good weekend, sir.
Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Managing editor of the local newspaper is John McCabe, with me every Friday for the Friday Roundtable. And he was up at Little West and had a Kentucky hot brown yesterday, which I haven't had for over a year, and he felt a need to send me a picture of it, and I'm just so hungry for it now. Let's swing over to the Big 7, WTRF TV, where News Director Brenda Danehart is. Good morning, Brenda.
Hey, how are you, Howard?
Hi, it's Friday, and I'm almost done.
So that means you're great.
I'm feeling good. And
good.
I'm thinking about breakfast and all that kind of good stuff. We're picking up the grandson in a couple of hours, and it'll be a grandson afternoon. So that's good. Life is good.
That's a good start to a nice what looks like a nice weekend. I mean, not particularly warm, but lots of sunshine. So I'll take it.
I'm with the sun. The sun is important to me. What are you working on today? Anything exciting over there?
I thought that one story was kind of interesting that the Ohio Highway Patrol sent out about that they responded late last night to an accident on 22 in an injury crash, and then they find a guy with a gunshot wound, and he ended up dying in the hospital when they life flighted him. So I'm not sure that we'll find too much more out on that, but they are looking into that. And I guess there's some kind of a big Belmont County drug bust that happened last night. Chief Suzak called us this morning, and DK is over there as we speak, trying to get the information on that. So he alluded that it was a pretty large one. So we'll have more information on our new newscast on that for sure. And then just, Wheeling Fire Department, don't know if you saw that release or not, and the Red Cross are working together as they always do to what they call Sound the Alarm campaign, and that's for smoke detectors, and of course that helps to save lives in the long run. So all of those stories today, and then of course at 10:30 we have Governor Justice, and we'll see if he has anything new to say. He keeps hinting toward him even removing more restrictions, so don't know that that'll happen today, but he's been hinting around that that's gonna happen soon.
I'm really curious to see what he has to say. You're right. He's been indicating that he wants to open things up a little bit more. On the other hand, this week he's been pretty strong in saying he thought that some states like Texas that have gone fully open are going too far too fast. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see what he thinks the next step might be, if there is a next step. And I'm with you. I think it's possible. I could hear that today.
I don't think he'll do away.
He doesn't agree with Texas. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think he'll do away with the mask mandate or anything of that nature yet. But we're certainly opening up, and that's kind of exciting. I think we need to be cautious as well. I'm like you, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah, there's clearly a light at the end of the tunnel. Have you had your vaccine yet or not?
No, I haven't. Nobody's called, so I know there are a lot of people older than I am that need it first. So I'm okay with waiting, but I can't. I am excited about getting it. So as soon as they do call, I will jump on the opportunity to get it.
Getting there quickly. I got both of my shots from Moderna vaccine, so I'm vaccinated now, and I think things are lightening up, and I think that. The numbers are currently going down as long as we're very careful. We talked yesterday with Dr. Clark Milton from Wheeling Hospital about, you kids not spiking the football before you cross the goal line. We're not home free yet, but I'm feeling better and better every day about getting close to normal. I don't know if we'll ever get back to normal, but getting close to normal again. And to me, that's really exciting.
It is. Do you go out? I mean, do you find yourself going out more now or not yet?
No, I mean, I'm not quite the COVID hermit that I was, but I'm not as nervous either. We did go toy shopping with Teddy one day, so which I would not have done recently. So we're kind of doing that.
Good.
I'm eagerly awaiting a return to lunch. I love lunch. The process of eating lunch with a friend someplace.
Well, good, good. I hope that happens soon for you, and hope we all get back to whatever the new normal is, and start to see people again and enjoy everybody.
Yeah, I've gotten to know my wife really well. Probably just good enough now, if you know what I'm saying.
I think I should ask her what she thinks about that, because she might have an answer too for me. Huh? Well, great. Well, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brenda. People can check things out at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30 for the statewide show, and always at WTRF.com.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Brenda Danehart from the Big 7 checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. So some good stuff coming up. Yeah, I'm feeling better and better every day about things getting back to normal. But I have to be honest, I'm still really scared about what's happening elsewhere. Texas opening up completely. I have this horrible fear that there's going to be, I hope I'm wrong. I seriously hope I'm wrong. That there's going to be some problems coming as a result of, opening up too soon, too fast. I think that's a real potential problem. We're still seeing more and more people, even locally, saying they're not going to, they don't want to wear a mask, don't want to do all that. I saw a post on Facebook yesterday that said just because there's no requirement to wear a mask doesn't mean you can't wear a mask. You do you and I'll do me. Well, you know what? The problem is that it doesn't work that way. If I do me, but you don't do you right, you can impact everybody else. I mean, this is a communal disease. This is not something you just live with in and of yourself. And I think that's where this whole thing falls apart when people say things like that. But we'll leave that conversation for another day. For now, it is time for me to say sayonara, see ya, bye-bye, farewell, I gotta go, I gotta get out of here. Kercheval's got the calm coming up next here on The Watchdog. And as for me, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone does the ring. Don't get impeached, don't retire, ticker keeps on ticking, don't overeat. That's always the dangerous one. And Teddy says, it's okay, you can go back to work Monday, Granddad. I'll be back Monday morning, 7 o'clock to the go around of the big gig. Are you back with me, Biffy?
Back Monday, ready to start another week.
We keep on doing it till we get it right.
That'll be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
% of Americans are...
All right, Biffy. Wasn't too bad today. Made it through. Reasonably good. I don't think I have anything planned for Monday. I'll probably do some, probably Ehlenfeld again. Maybe, I haven't talked to Erica Stewart yet. Maybe get her on. Talk about the income tax and a few other things. And I don't want to say this. If we're lucky, there'll be some big news over the weekend. I don't know what it might be, but if there is, we'll have something to talk about. And if not, we'll talk about Dr. Seuss again. Yes, I forget what it was, but it'll hold up, and I may use it on Monday, especially if I have a light day on Monday. If I have a light day on Monday, I may need it. So, yeah, hold it for later. And all right, sounds good. If you need me, I forgot to promote MEC this afternoon. We have 2 games today, right? Yeah, the only reason I know is because I had to schedule that stuff I think we have one at 2 and one at 8. And I don't know who's playing. I should know, and I don't. So I should have promoted that, and I didn't think about it, but that's life. Oh, today's Donnie's Day too. Shoot, I've had a Dr. G lineup for the last 2 days, but I keep thinking I'll save it for Friday. This is Friday. I guess I'll throw that away. That does me no good now, so okay, I'll throw that away too. All right, if you need me, I'll be around. Otherwise, I'll talk to you on Monday. Have yourself a good weekend. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Business online. Negative comments on the internet can impact your life and your livelihood. Take control of your online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. It may reveal negative posts from an ex-employee, upset patient or client, news article, legal issue, or even exposed personal information right there in your Google search results. Uncover what's lurking on the internet about you with reputationdefender.com's patented scan and get your free reputation report card. Or for immediate assistance with your reputation, call 800-401-6681. Our cutting-edge technology helps make your Google search results look their best. Call 800-401-6681. That's 800-401-6681. 800-401-6681. Or take the free scan at Reputation Defender.
In terms of not really seeing much in terms of any lake effect precipitation. In fact, hardly a cloud in the sky. Now, in terms of temperatures, well, yes, Stephen was correct. It is downright cold outside, certainly feeling more like winter, even though it looks like spring or summer outside with that wall-to-wall sunshine. Now, in terms of what we're expecting to see the rest of the day, well, I'm only expecting temperatures to warm up a couple more degrees as we transition into the afternoon with that sunshine continuing on. It looks like temperatures will be only topping off in the upper 30s, if not low 40s, once this afternoon rolls in with still that prevalent sunshine lingering into your weekend. But you might be asking, well, when's this warmer air supposed to be swinging through? Well, I have those answers to share in your full weather breakdown coming up in just a moment, but for now, we'll send it back over to you, Stephen. All right, Zach, thanks. Today kicks off the statewide Click It or Ticket campaign in West Virginia. Officials say law enforcement will concentrate on ticketing seatbelt violators caught traveling without a seatbelt or carrying unrestrained children. 9,000 unbuckled passengers died in crashes across the U.S. during 2019. The campaign will run through March 21st.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday, look for partly sunny skies. Daytime high near 40 degrees. Clear, cool overnight. Temperatures down to about 20 degrees for the low. You'll see plenty of sunshine around for your Friday with highs in the lower 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Now it's time for Bill DeFabio on AM 1600 WKKX, The Watchdog.
One, two, three. It's all part of my fantasy. I love the music and I love to see the crowd dancing in the house and singing out loud. Yeah. Here come the dancers, one by one. Your mama's calling, but you're having fun. You find you dancing on that number 9 cloud. Put your hands together now and sing it out loud. It's all part of my rock and roll fantasy. It's all part of my rock and roll dream.
And welcome to the Variety Show, Friday, March 5th. Glad you could join us. I'm Bill DeFabio, across the way, Lola Miller. Yes, indeed, we are. Believe me when I tell you, we're the odd couple. I'm glad to be in the studio. You know, a lot of you may think, wow, he gets to work at home. Believe me, I'd rather be here. But yesterday with the short show, 1 hour, do I want to go back and forth? No. But everything worked out well, As long as I got Lola to help guide me the way since I'm not here, everything's in good shape. But I love being in the studio, okay? Am I going to like driving here if they're going to be working on 70 or whatever? Yeah, I got through it for 2 months or 2 years or whatever? So whatever. I go to the back roads, do whatever it takes. It's not like, okay. Well, he's here, okay? He's down the street. And he's got the job of, let's put it this way. If you got a problem with the MAC, you just talk to this guy. Reed, how are you?
Well, I'm doing fine, Bill, but, Denny and Doug take good care of us out front. Call the arena.
Yeah. All right. I knew you would say something like that because you're very good at complimenting other people. Let's put it this way. Both parties working together means one thing, a good tournament, right?
Oh, we're really excited so far, Bill. I mean, number one, we're playing. As of January 1st, we were hopeful to be able to play. We had put our plans in place. We were confident they would work, and we're thrilled that 97% of our women's basketball games got played, 94% of our men's basketball games got played in a 16-game abbreviated season. And now we're here at the tournament, and over the last 2 months, we've been able to work through things to be able to bring spectators back. 362 days passed since the last time we had spectators at a Mountain East Conference event, which was the championship game last year between West Liberty and Charleston. And then on March the 12th, that Friday, the sports world stopped spinning on its axis. And here we are, almost a full year later, and finally we have MEC fans back in the building. And it's a great week for the Mountain East Conference, and we're thrilled that folks here in Ohio County and a local organizing committee in the city of Wheeling has provided us with the support that we've needed to be able to get back to what we do.
Yeah, I remember a year ago, that's the last time we talked. A year ago, we were talking about the championship game coming up, and I said I'll probably talk to you next week about the regionals. Well, there was no regionals or nothing, because after the West Liberty Hilltoppers team was celebrating, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. Well, I was the NCAA site representative for the regional at West Liberty, and was there on the day that the practices were unfolding. Mercyhurst University had the last practice of the day, and they had about 10 minutes left in their practice when we got the word from Indianapolis that it was all shut down. And I can promise you that's an afternoon that I will never forget, having to inform all of those coaches and players that the regional was canceled and that none of us knew at what point we'd be getting back to playing sports. The things in life that we just took for granted, and now we're so pleased to begin to be getting back.
Now I understand that West Liberty will be hosting the regionals, correct?
That's correct. This year, I serve as a member of the NCAA Division II Championships Committee, and that committee has had to be called on for more effort than maybe any point in its history because of all the things we've managed. We're very thrilled that winter championships are coming back after the fall championships were canceled in Division II, and after the spring championships were canceled too, after winter was called off last year. And so the winter championships coming back, including basketball. But to manage COVID-19 protocols, the NCAA needed to require for testing purposes that you knew where regionals would be. So instead of the number one seed in the regional hosting, about a month out, choosing where those sites would be. And the experience that West Liberty has hosting was very important in the men's and women's basketball committee's review of regional sites. And West Liberty was selected, and they'll host whether they're the number one seed in the regional or not.
No PZAC. So, I think when PZAC's involved, 3 or 4 competitive teams, who has replaced PZAC?
Well, so there's 23 conferences in Division II, and so normally you have all but one region is 3 conferences. So this year, 16 out of 23 conferences are playing, and also they maintained 8 regions, and now each region has 2 conferences in them instead of 3. The Championships Committee on which I serve, we made the decision about 6-7 months ago that we would reduce the fields by about 25% in all winter sports, and that's about the number of conferences by percentage that aren't playing. So that's so the access ratio stays about the same, and so that's why 6 teams are getting in, and we are sharing a region for 1 year with the Great Midwest Athletic Conference. Instead of the PSAC to our north and east, it's the Great Midwest Athletic Conference to our north and west in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. And so a lot of good teams coming out of that conference, including Findlay, University of Findlay, and right now the number 1 ranked team in the region is Hillsdale with only 1 loss on the season. So that's going to be one heck of a regional at West Liberty next week.
Well, and I'm sure the MEC will be qualifying a number of good teams because this year, more so than any year in the past, that word parity existed.
Yeah, certainly. And this is a year where most Division II conferences are only playing against other conference teams. So when the regional comes about, it'll be the first non-conference play for both the GMAC as well as the Mountain East. And so that will add some more intrigue to the regional next week. And we feel pretty confident that the Mountain East is in a good position to get 3 teams into the men's basketball Atlantic Regional next week, and very confident that 2 women's teams will make it, and possibly a third, depending on what unfolds here in West Banco Arena this week.
Are you going to be like the site guy like in the past?
Probably not this year. With 23 Mountain East Conference sports in one semester, as opposed to typically having that over an entire academic year, not making myself available for that role. As this is the crossover season of all crossover seasons in a conference office, and the most challenging one we'll ever face, with men's soccer and women's soccer and cross country and football. By the way, we kick off football in 6 days with a 5-game spring season. So it's going to be an unprecedentedly busy spring for us, but we're doing it on behalf of our student athletes.
Okay, yeah, I understand. West Liberty and Wheeling U each will have 2 home games in the month. What, the month of March?
Oh, it's football.
Football. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a 5-week schedule that starts next week and runs through mid-April. Teams that finished in the top half of the standings last year have 3 home games, and teams that were in the bottom half have 2, as a fair way to determine how many home and away games each team had. So West Liberty and Wheeling will both have 2 home games through the course of that 5-week schedule. Yeah.
Okay. I got the newsletter the other day from our friends in the PR department at Wheeling U. I can't remember. I can name a few Division I girls basketball teams that were very good in individuals from the University of Connecticut, but I've never seen a girl like Lily Fritz put together, the numbers that she has put together in, the last 35 games?
Yeah, she's a rebounding machine. And, all you have to do is look at last night's box score from their overtime victory against Concord, which was a thriller. Wheeling was down 17 points with exactly 7 minutes to go in the fourth, and Lily Ritz helped lead them back with box scores that I don't recall seeing since games in the 60s, before I was born. When I see 28 points and 25 rebounds, and that's the way they used to play back then, where one person went and got all the rebounds. Well, that's what Wheeling's women do, and Lily Ritz gets almost all of them. She had 25 of their 58 in the game. As far as the ones that showed up in the individual box score, she had half of them. 25 of the 50 individual rebounds that were non-team rebounds. She's a rebounding machine. She made a huge 3 late that was the backbreaker for Concord when Wheeling's women won 77-72, and they move on to tomorrow morning into afternoon semifinals for the ladies.
Wow, 28 points, 25 rebounds?
That's right, 28 points, 25 rebounds last night.
Yeah, and she's only a junior. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Super player. Super young lady.
Yeah, well, her brother was a pretty good player, too.
I remember him well when he played at Wheeling.
And, I had to ask the question, me, what am I going to get? No? And I said, Lily, how would you match up against your brother? And she said, it's really no matchup. No matchup. I'm good. I'm better. Now, she's quite a young lady. And her dad was a pitcher in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him a lot. So I said, didn't you give up a lot of home runs in that small park? And he said, Bill, don't go there. Okay. But, it's...
In his defense, everyone did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'd hate to be a pitcher in that ballpark. Well, you know what? Thank you for joining us. And we'll talk soon. Have a good weekend in Wheeling, okay?
Appreciate it, Bill. Hey, quickly, coming up next, Glendale and Notre Dame are locked up in a good one, 58-55 here in the second half, about midway through it. And then West Liberty's men in the second game of the day take on Concord. 5 o'clock tonight, Charleston will be taking on Wheeling. So back-to-back games with local teams in them. And then the late game tonight, Fairmont State against West Virginia State in the men's quarterfinal. Should be a great one, too. Tickets are still available. Up to 750 tickets will be sold for every game, and every game's its own session here at West Banco Arena. We hope folks come out to take it in.
What a PR guy. Listen, you don't have those passes anymore for all the games. People leave with one game and got to come back, right?
That's correct. Due to COVID-19 protocols, we hope that that's only going to be for 1 year. So each game is its own individual session.
All right. Hey, thank you. Maybe I'll see you at a football game in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you, man.
Take care.
All right. That guy with the horn. How many times that horn go off? I lost count at 6. But, that's great background, Sound like there were some people there. I did not know the numbers with Lily Ritz. I mean, a nice comeback in the fourth quarter. She is one of the best, and I've seen a lot of great ones, especially in Division I, but she is one of the best I've ever seen. She just, takes control under that net, There are a lot of great girls in Division II in the MEC. She's got to be at the top of the list. Last year she was an All-American. This year she didn't win the Outstanding Player Award, but I think she would trade that for another All-American. So 28 points, 25 rebounds. I think that's either 35 or 36 games in a row with double-double. She's just amazing. Just amazing. The whole family's amazing. Her brother was real good. Her dad, I saw him pitch a couple of times. He was okay. Yeah. And he told me, I said, you a little bit jealous what pitchers are making today? And he goes, no, they paid me very well. I just wish I pitched in a better ballpark because the ballpark in Coors Field, I think they still call it Coors Field, it's a hitter's ballpark, period. If your earned run average is about 4 something, that's good. That's good. All right, but the Ritz family, very talented, and I hope we get to see Lily again next year at Wheeling University, and they're bringing back some good people, so it should be very competitive anytime she plays. Look, her team was down, 11, 12, I forget what Reed told us, and they came back with that unbelievable effort to win 77-71. 28 points, 25 rebounds. You want to take a break, Lola? Let me open the lines for Lola. Make her go to work a little bit. We have the Watchdog Madness bracket. 64 listeners will each be paired with one of the 64 NCAA Division I tournament teams. If you haven't registered, call now. 304-214-1600. You don't have to be on the air. Just tell Lola, I'm Bill Schmo. She'll write you down, get a phone number, and next week or the week after the selection is Monday, March 15th. Who knows? If you make it to the finals and win, you might take home a big screen TV. We'll be right back.
Listen to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio, just the way you want. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel in yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There's a child waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
McMecken, the Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hobby Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. McMecken trusts the Watchdog.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around. I'm getting bugged driving up and down the same old strip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip. My buddies and me, you're getting real well known. Yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. I get around, round, 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 I get around, get around, round, round, I get around,
I am talking to myself, in case you noticed, Lola. Do I or don't I? So far, I'm 2 for 2. We surprised Franco Harris on his birthday. he was a little bit shocked. Joe Green, I don't think he realized it was his birthday. We said, hey, Joe, the Beatles are here. I'm wondering if we ought to do that with Rocky Blyer. Surprise him when we have Ray Fittipaldo on to talk about big Steeler news. Rocky Blyer's birthday today. We'll talk about that later. All right? Yeah, I think I will do that. Now, hopefully he doesn't answer the phone. Yeah, what do you want? You know, whatever. But, today's Annie Oakley Day. What was she noted for, Lola?
She was quite a hot shot, literally.
Yeah. Yep. She starred in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show for 17 years.
Yeah.
Hitting targets with any one of 3 guns. I wouldn't want to mess with her. She smashed 98 of 100 clay targets thrown at 16 yards while at a match in Pinehurst Gun Club in North Carolina. She hit the first 50, missed 51st, and then the 67th. You talk about record breaker, okay? She was just tremendous. And she was in the film Annie, Get Your Gun. Later made a musical for the stage. 1985, that musical 1935. 1985, another film, Annie Oakley, made for TV, included silent film footage of the record-breaking sharpshooter taken by, I didn't know he took pictures, Thomas Edison. There you go. Annie Oakley Day. Yeah. I don't know did you see that movie at all? Or the documentary on her?
Yeah. The documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right. Who played Annie Oakley in the musical? Because there was an updated one. I think it was a popular actress.
Yeah. I keep wanting to think Betty Grable, but it wasn't. She had blonde hair. I don't.
Somebody will call. Somebody will call. We usually go to the oldies calendar with Butch. He don't like to really talk about sports, so I will on the oldies calendar because a local guy who passed away recently, we've had him on the air, Phil Negro on this date, 1997. Phil Negro out of Bridgeport, PA, along with Tommy Lasorda, Nellie Fox, and Willie Wells Sr. were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I thought it was like 2000 and something. Oh, man, time flies by a lot. Let's see. Yeah, Rocky Blyer, I think we'll surprise him. What do you think, Lola? We ought to surprise him?
I don't. It's up to you.
All right.
It was Barbara Streisand. That's not who I was thinking it was.
She played Annie Oakley? Okay.
Yeah. But that wasn't the musical.
Maybe that was the movie.
Yeah, that was the movie.
Rex Harrison. We'll save that for Butch. No, I already mentioned it, so I don't want people to... famous actor, died in 1990, born on this state in 1908. You have a favorite Rex Harrison movie? Don't laugh at me, I like Dr. Dolittle.
Well, I always think of,
My Fair Lady?
yeah.
Cleopatra? Wasn't Cleopatra the one where they spent zillions of dollars? Yeah, they spent zillions of dollars and they didn't, the movie stunk. Agony and Ecstasy, okay. My Fair Lady, yeah, I saw it. Do I want to see it again? No, I don't think so. Well, we have a couple of seconds. West Virginia won again last night. They beat TCU. I said it 5 weeks ago, I'd be happy with a number 3 seed. And I think if you ask Bob Huggins right now, he would be happy. But there's a chance it could be a number 2 seed. A lot of things got to happen. Baylor's got to lose, Kansas got to lose, but a number 3 seed, I think, would set the stage for an interesting postseason for West Virginia, okay? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Butch is going to join us, okay? Instead of later on in the show, we got him early in the show because Ray Fittipaldo is doing his taxes as we talk, and he has to be on later. We always save Ray for big news. This is the 3rd week in a row that Ray's going to be on following some big news. That big news, Ben Roethlisberger is taking a cut to play football for the Steelers. So instead of making $19 million plus, he's only going to make $14 million. Oh, poor Ben. We ought to take up a collection. $14 million. We'll be right back on the Variety Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Chris Lawrence. Governor Jim Justice's next media briefing on the coronavirus will be at 10:30 this morning, a few minutes after the DHHR releases new COVID-19 case numbers. Thursday's release showed just 261 new COVID cases statewide and no deaths.
The state's daily percent positivity rate, 2.69. The governor said earlier this week he may announce a further lifting of restrictions at today's briefing. You'll be able to watch that at 10:30 at WVMetroNews.com. The governor's income tax reduction plan is now in bill form. It was submitted to the legislature Thursday afternoon. Justice wants to cut the income tax by 60% beginning next January 1st. The governor says this can be an historic time for the state.
If we miss this opportunity, we will remember it and regret it. But if we move forward with this opportunity, you're going to see West Virginia really, really on the move.
Justice proposing an increase in other taxes to make up some of the difference of reducing the income tax bill. Details are posted this morning at WVMetroNews.com. The full House of Delegates will now consider a bill that relaxes regulations on above-ground storage tanks located close to drinking supplies. The bill was approved by the House Health Committee yesterday. Kanawha County Delegate Mike Pushkin says it's wrong to weaken the law that came after the 2014 Freedom Industries spill in the Elk River.
The water that you use to wash your clothes, the water that you use to bathe. You take all that stuff for granted until you don't have it. As somebody who didn't have it for quite some time, I don't take it for granted.
You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. The men's quarterfinals of the Mountain East Conference Tournament will take place today in Wheeling. You can see those games, all four, at WVMetroNews.com, starting at 11 o'clock. The women's semifinal round is set after 4 games yesterday. You can read more about that at WVMetroNews.com. High school boys basketball season ended abruptly nearly a year ago due to the pandemic, and the new season begins tonight across the state. Regular season to be played over a truncated 6-week period. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Hello? Honey, where are you? Well, I'm checking out the chicks here. Okay, sweet pea. Excuse me? You want to run that by me again? Well, I got so many cute chicks here to choose from.
Sir, do you want that now or when you're done shopping?
Oh, where's my coat? Friends, Real King has everything you need to raise chickens at the lowest prices, guaranteed. Oh, Holy Bun, I'm sorry. I just got so excited about the Real King Chick Days. Don't forget the chicken pay.
The 2021 Honda ATV lineup is here to prove it's possible to work smarter and harder. With the power to get the job done, the technology to make it easier, and tried and tested quality to keep you moving forward, the only thing left to add is you. Then you'll understand how life is better on a Honda. Honda recommends ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
The Storm Tracker 17 is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for
Washington County's largest gun show is back on Saturday and Sunday, April 10th and 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Admission is just $7, and kids under 12 get in free with an adult. Everyone is welcome. They offer free appraisals and have great prices on all types of firearms, modern, military, and antique. They have over 450 tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or call 724-948-3571 for more information. That's 724-948-3571 for more information. That's Washington County Gun Show, presented by ARH Sports Shop, April 10th and 11th.
This guy knows so much about sports. They base the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future off of his Dream Journal. He's Bill DeFabio, weekdays noon to 2, on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
I watched a game show in the 50s or 60s where it was, they had 4 panelists and they had the masks, and a special guest would come in like John Wayne, and, he tried to hide his voice, which didn't work. We're going to do a little bit different one because this is radio, and, I got to be different. So our next guest, and I hear him breathing. Before we give out your name, or you give out your name, what is your reputation, sir?
My reputation is that of an antagonist.
That's all you do for a living? You antagonize people?
Well, I do that, but I also play some music, and I also do a little bit of acting and directing, and I also teach at colleges.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with people. You're familiar with people in the Ohio Valley, right?
Right. And once in a while, I speak on the radio.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, I'm trying to guess. Is your first name Butch?
That's it. You got it. How'd you guess?
Oh, man. I have your 45 from 1984. By the way, it's not worth anything. That's okay. Butch Maxwell's with us. Hey, thank you for changing times with me. So,
sure, no problem.
You know what I mean? But, you always make yourself available, and I know in the mornings you're busy because you're teaching or whatever. So I bet you can't wait to get back in the classroom, right? Especially with the things you're teaching the youngins.
Yeah. I'm eager to get back into the classroom again. It's been challenging, and some of the classes lend themselves well to doing them over Zoom or similar platforms, but some of them just don't. Like speech, for instance, I teach speech, and I don't think that I can teach speech effectively when students are able to just stand up in front of a camera and talk. I mean, that is one skill, but I think they really need to experience the dread and the fear of standing up in front of their peers right in front of them and delivering a speech. So we're going to try to do that. And one of the challenges has been that I've had students who are in quarantine. They've either been exposed to the virus or they actually have the virus. And so in order to try to give everybody an even chance, the first few weeks of the semester, I've been holding most classes virtually. But we're gonna go back in the classroom soon.
Yeah, well, that'll be great. That's going to be great. Now, if somebody was speaking in front of the classroom, the students and that, do you stand there or sit there with a straight face? Do you smile? Do you growl? Do you scare the death out of the individual? Because, if he screws up, he might not get an A, B, or C.
Right. No, I try to be just a responsive member of the audience. I'll smile and give them encouragement because it's hard. It's hard to do that. I don't want them to be scared of public speaking. I want them to face their fear and realize that, the audience is not going to bite them. And so I'm out there with, a neutral to pleasant face, as much as I can muster. And, I'll nod along and encourage them as much as possible because especially, and they're especially in tune to me because I'm the one who's ultimately going to grade them. So they're especially trying to connect with me.
Okay. When you think of all the presidents that have spoken, who sticks out in your mind as far as speaking?
As far as speaking, the actual his voice and delivery and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Two presidents that I can think of in my lifetime, Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama, I think were both excellent at communicating via speeches. Bill Clinton was okay, I think, that's about it. I don't know. The Bushes were never very effective either one of them.
I liked Kennedy and Reagan.
Kennedy was really dynamic.
He just had that presence about him, If he talked, you listened.
Yeah, he was. He was very, very interesting. And of course, the greatest, probably the greatest speech maker of all the presidents was the 16th, was Lincoln.
Yeah.
But his voice was apparently not very appealing.
No.
You'd think, he'd have a very deep resonant voice. No, it's real high and pitty and kind of, not what you'd expect from, a guy who was as tall as he was and all that. But
our own Howard Monroe interviewed him and George Washington. Did you know that?
I bet he did.
Yeah. He can't find the tapes, though. We can't find the pad and pencil. Yeah, I liked JFK and I liked Ronald Reagan. I think it helped that he was an actor and, he's no stranger to the camera and to the audience. So, thought I had to ask you that. Hey, before we go over your oldies calendar, you have anything you want to touch bases on?
Oh, I was going to give an update on some of my very good friends that are playing around in and around the Ohio Valley, but I have lost internet up here on the hill, and that's also, in fact, it jumped out on me in my last class. I was almost through the class, and so I'm a little hard pressed to find out. Wait a minute, I think I can do it on my phone, because I did want to promote my very good friends, the Muddle, are once again playing this weekend. But I can't. It's not loading.
Where's the Muddle playing?
See, that's what I don't know. I'm not sure. I know
I'll look it up on my phone.
Okay, good. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, she'll take care of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. You know what I did last weekend, which is the first time in a year. My wife and I went to see a movie at a movie theater. And
where'd you go? The Highlands? Did you go to the Highlands?
Yes, we went to the Highlands. We saw the Tom Hanks film, a Western, by the way.
Was it good?
It's called News of the World. I enjoyed it. It was good. It isn't the kind of an action-packed, Cowboys and Indian Western that, you might recall, but it's set in the Old West, and it's about a guy who takes under his wing a small girl who's been twice abandoned by her family. So, and he tries to return her to her home. And it's set in I think it's 1870 or something like that. So it's set very definitely, and it's out west. So it's a Western, but it's not the Cowboys and Indian type of Westerns. And, everybody loves Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah, he plays so many great roles, And
our experience in the theater was we saw one other couple and a child going into the theater. We went like at 9 o'clock on Saturday night, and we were the only people in our particular theater. There was nobody there. Nobody.
Yeah, I've gone there many times, especially in the afternoon when if you're a senior citizen, like on Tuesday, it's like $7,
Yeah.
And the popcorn's great. They got popcorn there. Oh.
Yeah, and the seats are very comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Best seats I've ever been in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned that the sentiments are going to survive COVID. I mean, I think they will, but it's been really tough. But I would encourage anybody who's kind of dying to go see a film that if you have the vaccines, definitely go. Even if you haven't, you can socially distance there pretty well. I was on a Saturday night, the late show, the 9:15 showing, and Tom Hanks and nobody in the theater. It's a pretty good indication it's going to be pretty safe for you.
Okay, all right. Lola's got an update for you.
Yeah, the model's going to be at the Route 40 Lumberjacks on National Road.
Okay, yeah. That's what city that is?
It's Belmont, Ohio.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
all right.
Jim Bursey is going to be Saturday night at Chateau Pierre's Luna Blue Lounge. Which,
okay. I'm not sure where that is, but
anything about that one.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for getting in the plug for my very good friend Lola, and also thanks for bringing us in with Beatles music. Yay!
Yeah, you like that, huh? That's why we pay the big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Want to do the oldies calendar or what?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot going on down the street at West Banco. It's hosting the Mountain East Conference tournament, and it's underway. We just had the commissioner on. Mr. Reed Amos, and there's going to be some great matchups. There's a lot of parity with the men and the women. And then next week, you're familiar with West Liberty, I'm sure. West Liberty is going to be the host team for the regionals. So that's good stuff, Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. And, they're allowing people in. By the way, last year you were able to buy one ticket, good for all the games. That doesn't exist this year. You have to leave the arena because, they got to spray it down and everything and then come back and pay again for another game. So that's the way it is. So, all right, here we go. We talked about Annie Oakley. It's Annie Oakley Day. Lola and I covered that. She was a sharpshooter a long time ago. She was just tremendous with not one but 3 different kinds of guns. So we found out who played Annie Oakley? Barbara Streisand in the movie?
Streisand played her in the movie, and then, my gosh, I just had...
You just had it. That's okay.
Ethel Byrne.
Ethel Byrne. Yeah.
Played her in the musical. Then there was another musical made, and I cannot remember the actress's name that was played Annie in that one.
Okay.
So
I'm going to ask you about this one. Today is the anniversary when 1963 on this date, Patsy Cline, Cowboy Copas, and Hank Saw Hawkins were killed in a plane crash. The famous country music stars were returning from a benefit performance. She was called Queen of Country Music. She was elected to the Music Hall of Fame in 1973. You want to guess who played Patsy in the 1985 film? Sweet Dreams?
I don't know. 1985.
Yeah.
Jessica Lange. I don't know.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
That was your Jessica Lange, I think, was in the palms of King Kong. Remember when he picked her up?
Yeah, that's probably why
I was so jealous of King Kong. Willie Nelson wrote her biggest hit, which was Crazy. No, the song Crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it became a #1 country tune in 1961. Also hit the top 10 pop chart. Crazy. Yeah. I didn't know Nelson wrote that.
Well,
yeah, I did. And that's probably one of his first big hits too. And then Ross Perot really gave it a second life when he danced with his wife during the 1992 presidential election. Because people thought he was crazy, so he just kind of said that, okay, yeah, sure, bring it on, call me crazy.
Just not that anybody cares. It was Betty Hutton that played Annie Oakley in Annie, Get Your Gun.
Okay.
It was driving me nuts. I knew who it was, and I just couldn't remember her name.
What year did that movie come out? Do you know?
1950.
50. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the musicals.
Was she related to the Hutton that's a pretty good actor?
No.
Okay.
Lauren Hutton? No.
No.
On this date in 1936, MGM's Mutiny on the Bounty, produced by Irvin Thalberg, I just guessed at that, voted outstanding production, and they used to say back then, but the 8th Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Series Academy Award ceremony was held at the Biltmore Hotel in L.A. I stayed there. I stayed there with the Pirates one year. I looked at the breakfast menu and I said, you know what, I can't afford this. And I was with the Pirate PR guy. He says, whatever you want. So I just ordered some toast and that, that was expensive, but I remember that. Betty Davis, we talked about her, was in Dangerous. Was that a good movie, Lola? Dangerous with Betty Davis?
Yep.
Okay. But I do remember Mutiny on the Bounty. It was a good movie. John Ford had a movie. He won the director for The Informer. I didn't see that.
That is a really good movie. It's about the IRA in Belfast.
Oh, okay. I got maybe circled
So
that.
it's,
Check it out.
it's all British and Irish actors.
Okay. Roberta Flack, did you like her? Butch, she was a 70s gal. You don't like the 70s very much.
No, not very much. I mean, I admired her talent, but I didn't like her music very much.
Yeah, Lola wrote this song because she included me, Killing Me Softly with my song. That was a long song, too. I think the intro was like 45 seconds,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And she also...
It was nice. It was pleasant. It was just kind of middle of the road for me,
Middle of the road. Okay, all right. We had mentioned a local guy on this day was inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame, Phil Negro. He's from Bridgeport. And, a lot of great athletes came out of this area. His good friend was Billy Mazeroski and a basketball player named John Havlicek. And, on this date in 1997, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame along with Tommy Lasorda and so on and so forth. Okay. 2004, Martha Stewart, Butch, made some really big news. You know what it was?
She probably went to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was convicted of obstructing justice and lying to the government about why she unloaded her, how do you pronounce it, Lola? IMCLONE stock, just before the price went.
Yeah.
Is she still in jail, Lola?
No.
Is she out? Okay.
No.
Does she still have a show or something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, she's just as popular now as she was back then. Over $50,000. You got all these big, huge corporate thieves, and she goes to prison for $50,000.
I couldn't understand this, Butch. Maybe you and Lola can help me. I remember when it happened. You talk about freedom of the speech or whatever. Pepsi-Cola on this date in 1989 said it would withdraw a Madonna TV ads from any station that showed the singer's video like a prayer. It had already been banned in Italy. It showed her almost naked, okay? Naked, feet of a statue in a church sanctuary caressing a priest. Oh, I could understand Pepsi Cola back then. Viewers mistakenly, and the Madonna, they couldn't understand. Pepsi was starting to pull commercials if it was featuring her singing a song. Well, whatever. Today it doesn't matter, does it? You can almost do anything you want. But if the sponsor doesn't like it, they can pull the rug from under your feet.
That's right, yeah. And it really has nothing to do with First Amendment stuff. It's, she can say whatever she wants. It's just Pepsi doesn't have to support her doing it.
Yeah, no. Rex Reginald Carey Harrison. Rex Harrison was his stage name. Born on this date in 1908. We already went this earlier, but what Rex movie did you like? My Fair Lady? Cleopatra? Dr. Dolittle?
No, Dr. Dolittle was terrible, and I liked My Fair Lady. He was,
I did too. Wait a minute, I like Dr. Dolittle because I understood the movie, you know? Cleopatra, that's the movie that they lost millions and millions of dollars because the production was so expensive in Rome.
Yeah, it was a really bloated production.
And who played Cleopatra?
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah. She got, what, $18 million for that back then?
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. And it really, I don't know. Lola, did you like the movie?
No.
I didn't either. I could not understand it.
It was, visually, it was really exceptional.
Visually, yeah.
But the acting certainly wasn't all that great. And, it was too long, too fragmented.
And the script.
Yeah. So there have been far better movies about Cleopatra than that one.
Yeah.
Then there's that movie they filmed that I think one of the stunt people got killed in a horse race, Ben-Hur, where they had 52,000 extras. I wonder if they got $10 each in a shirt. That's what my brother-in-law got. He was in the second Night of the Living Dead movie, filmed at a farm in Washington. He got $10 and a shirt. Now, if he had a speaking part, he would be making a couple bucks a month for life.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's but the budget of that movie is compared to a Mutiny on the Bounty or Cleopatra or Ben-Hur. Huge difference there.
Yeah. So I was when I was in Italy the second time. I stayed in Rome for about 3 days, and I went on this tour, and we stopped by. It just looks like a grassy field now where that was filmed. So. Yeah. And I got to go to the Coliseum. I stayed there for a couple of days waiting for the Steelers to play. They didn't show up. I don't know what happened. Jack Cassidy. Ring a bell, Lola?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Andersonville trial. She loves me. Who is he? Well, David and Sean's father, Shirley Jones' husband. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Killed in a fire.
Yeah. It's kind of tragic,
Yeah, I didn't know that. See what I learned today on my own show? All right, Lola's not surprised, though. And I think that's about it. You don't want to, sports, you don't... Oh, Dire Straits, big fan?
Oh,
I like Dire Straits,
Yes.
The guy on the keyboards and the leader of the group, I think he wrote a couple of songs. Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, The Man's Too Strong, Going Home, and Smooching. Smooching? Was that a song?
I don't remember that one, but...
It's a great album, Brothers in Arms. Okay. It really is a great album.
All right. Alan Clark, born 1952, 68 years old. All right. Marsha Warfield, does she ring a bell? Comedian, Night Court. She was featured many times on the Richard Pryor Show. I never watched the Richard Pryor Show. Did I miss anything, Butch?
I don't know. I never watched it either. It was probably on in the 70s when I wasn't watching TV.
Well, they would have to edit a lot, right? Because he used the 4-letter and 11-letter word a lot.
Oh, yeah, but, in a scripted television show, he could play nicely.
Yeah. Are you sitting down?
I am.
If he was still living today, would you say happy birthday to Andy Gibb? He was one of the Gibb brothers. I think he was the youngest one, passed away in 1988. I think there's only one surviving Bee Gee right now. Yeah.
You're right.
He had a couple of hits, I guess. Shadow Dancing, which I know you didn't like.
Yeah. No.
Don't Throw It All Away, which I've done many times. And Love is Thicker Than Water.
Okay.
And he was a host of a TV show called what?
Oh, I don't know.
Solid Gold.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Well, we got some time. Let's go over the songs. Let's see, would he like 1970? Oh, he might not. Okay. 1960, the theme from A Summer Place, which played over and over again in Animal House by Percy Faith, was number one. Bobby Darin, Beyond the Sea, was number two. You was a big Bobby Darin fan, weren't you?
Yeah, that's a great song, Beyond the Sea.
Yeah.
Really good. And that's when Darren moved from doing bubblegum music to doing to being a Frank Sinatra wannabe.
Yeah. Well, some people thought if he didn't die on the operating table, he might have been the next Sinatra, but I don't think there'll ever be anybody like a Sinatra.
No, I don't think so either. But Darren had already turned away from that by the time he died and decided he was going to be in folk music.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well. 1968, we had a couple of soundtracks. Number two by Dionne Warwick was the theme from Valley of the Dolls. And number one was Love is Blue by Paul Moriarty. Yeah.
Really, really sloshy stuff.
Yeah. But number three, soon to be number one in 3 weeks after this week in March in 1968, Sitting on the Dock of Bay by Otis Redding.
Great song. Yeah, I think it went number one right after he died, tragically, which is, but what a great song that is, yeah.
You ready for 76?
Yeah, okay.
Number three, All by Myself. Not bad.
All right.
Eric Carmen.
Yeah.
What group they used to be with?
Raspberries?
Yeah, did you like them?
Yeah, I like the Raspberries.
Okay.
And, I didn't mind that song. It was, it was kind of sentimental, but it was okay.
Yeah, I liked Strawberries.
Strawberries better than raspberries. Yeah.
Well, Strawberry Alarm Clock, right?
Right, yeah.
Remember them?
Yes, I do.
All right. Number two was Love Machine. Where am I? Okay, number one was Theme from SWAT, okay? Number one in 1984, something we got to do, Jump by Van Halen. Thank you, Butch.
All right, thank you, Bill. Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye. I love Jump. I hear that all the time at a baseball game, a hockey game, football game. We'll be right back, right after this.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1 W251CY, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7 W249DU, AM 1370 WVL.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Vaccinations ramping up across the U.S. with daily shots now reaching 2 million a day. At the COVID response briefing, health leaders say nearly 55% of those 65 and older have received at least one COVID vaccine dose. Dr. Anthony Fauci says there are 3 effective vaccines, including the latest from Johnson & Johnson, which requires just one dose. He urged Americans not to wait on any of them.
If you go in and a vaccine is available to you, I would take the first available vaccine.
Health officials also urging Americans to keep wearing masks and social distance until more people can be vaccinated. Johns Hopkins tracking showing 8.5% of Americans have been fully vaccinated. Senate lawmakers going through the process of amendments for President Biden's COVID rescue bill. Senator Bernie Sanders is making another push to include an increase in the federal minimum wage. Sanders criticizing the Senate parliamentarians' power to leave it out.
It is an absurd process that we allow an unelected staffer, somebody who works for the Senate, not elected by anybody, to make a decision as to whether 30 million Americans get a pay raise or not.
Last month, employers added 379,000 jobs to the payrolls. Those are encouraging signs. Health experts say that the economy is recovering as more businesses open. Hospitality and leisure sectors seeing a big increase. Today, New York City movie theaters are reopening for the first time since the lockdowns went into effect last year. Pope Francis making an historic visit to Iraq, the first pope to visit the country. He arrived in Baghdad. Security, though, is not the only concern.
A lot of people have been against this trip, partly because of the pandemic. That is, the numbers are picking up, certainly down in the south in Baghdad, less so up here in the north.
ABC's Ian Pannell reporting. You're listening to ABC News.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
More details about a Dallas police officer 12 years on the force, now charged with 2 counts of capital murder.
Brian Reiser stands accused in 2017 of hiring a longtime friend to kidnap and kill 2 people, a 30-year-old woman and a 60-year-old man, for $9,500. The woman's body was dumped in the Trinity River. The man's was never found. Reiser has been a suspect since 2019, but was kept on the force to keep from tipping him off. The new Dallas Police Chief, Eddie Garcia, says,
"There's not a police chief in America that can look you in the eye and tell you that there aren't officers in their organizations that have no business wearing this uniform."
Reiser is held on $5 million bond. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
A big basketball game on Sunday, out of bounds to the public, but officials worry fans will be flocking to clubs and bars in the host city. Details from ABC's Steve Osunsami.
In Atlanta, the city's mayor is asking people not to come to town for the NBA All-Star Game this weekend. She and others point out that across the U.S., Georgia has the 6th highest number of reported COVID cases in the last 7 days and the 5th highest number of deaths. On top of all that, Georgia ranks dead last in the number of shots in arms for every 100,000 people.
The New York Times and Wall Street Journal reporting top aides to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo altered a public report back in July, pushing state health department officials to undercount the actual number of nursing home patients who died from coronavirus. This is ABC News.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
Michelle Franz and ABC News.
This is ONN.
In a primetime address yesterday, Governor Mike DeWine laid out the framework for lifting public health orders connected to the state's coronavirus response. Richard Solomon with affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus has the details.
Governor Mike DeWine announcing the path back to normalcy as the state inches closer to the 1-year mark of the pandemic.
When Ohio gets down to 50 cases per 100,000 people for 2 weeks, all health orders in the state will come off.
DeWine says Ohioans have been doing everything right so far.
Our path back is by continuing forward, by wearing that mask and by getting that vaccine.
DeWine says the path back can be achieved if people choose to get vaccinated. Reporting at the State House, Richard Solomon.
And pandemic lockdowns and stay-at-home orders kept many drivers off of U.S. roads and highways last year, but those who did venture out found open lanes that invited reckless driving, leading to a sharp increase in traffic crash deaths. Dave James reports.
A new report from the nonprofit National Safety Council estimates that just over 42,000 people died in vehicle crashes last year, an 8% increase over 2019 and the first jump in 4 years. Federal data shows Americans drove 13% fewer miles last year, but it was the most deaths since 2007, when nearly 44,000 people were killed in crashes. Dave James, ONN News.
And I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Hello?
Honey, where are you?
Well, I'm checking out the chicks here at Rule King, Sweet Pea.
Excuse me? You want to run that by me again?
Well, I got so many cute chicks here to choose from.
Sir, do you want that now or when you're done shopping? Oh, where's my coat?
Friends, Rule King has everything you need to raise chickens at the lowest prices, guaranteed. Oh, honey bun, I'm sorry. I just got so excited about the Rule King Chick Days.
Well, don't forget the chicken feed.
The 2021 Honda ATV lineup is here to prove it's possible to work smarter and harder. With the power to get the job done, the technology to make it easier, and tried and tested quality to keep you moving forward, the only thing left to add is you. Then you'll understand how life is better on a Honda. Honda recommends ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local. Just the way you like it.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing! With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time. Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Give your bathroom a makeover and save 11% on everything. Now at Menards. Add the finishing touch to your bathroom project with towel bars, paper holders, rope hooks, and grab bars from Delta. With over 22 collections to choose from, find something to complement any decor. Best of all, they're all 11% off. Good through March 6th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Look for partly sunny skies. Daytime high near 40 degrees. Clear, cool overnight. Temperatures down to about 20 degrees for the low. You'll see plenty of sunshine around for your Friday with highs in the lower 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Now it's time for Bill DeFabio on AM 1600 WKKX, The Watchdog.
Just a reminder, down the street and on the radio, Daddy-O, the MEC men's basketball, West Liberty Hilltoppers taking on Concord, tip-off at 2 o'clock. Of course, if you can't make it to the game, we'll have it for you. And also the MEC men's second game, Fairmont State versus West Virginia State. That, once again, is 8 o'clock. If you can't make it down the street, we'll have it for you on the Watchdog. And just a reminder, it should be one of your favorite restaurants because it's about 400 feet away from West Banco, River City. I'll be working River City, and if you don't see me hosting I'm the host with the most. Ask for me, and I'll make sure you get extra napkins and extra condiments. But you got to ask for me. How you like that, Greg?
I can vouch for that, by the way, having been there and seen you work the place. All you got to do is ask.
Yeah.
And Bill delivers. I think that could be a tagline for the place. Billy D delivers for you.
Well, I go to every table. All right, I watch when the people are just about done. I go to every table. I introduce myself as Smokey the Bear. And
Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, because I put fires out. If somebody has a problem with a steak, I get them a new steak. If they got a problem with their salad, yeah. Sometimes I'll even pick up the bill because I'm allowed to do that.
Wow.
You like that, Smokey the Bear?
Wow. Now, could you maybe start wearing one of those Ranger uniforms that he wears?
Let's not go there, Greg.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, then I'd chase away all the people,
No, can you be an attraction?
Yeah.
They'd want to just come down and see Billy D dressed up like Smokey the Bear.
How about that?
Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, can we go see Smokey the Bear?
Wow, what a great idea. I'll have to ask the boss after I work tonight. I don't want him to send me home early,
No, I understand.
Hey, I thought of you this morning, okay?
Yeah.
Whether I can get in touch with you, that's never been a problem. On this date in 1997, these gentlemen were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Tommy Lasorda, Nellie Fox, and Willie Wells Sr., and a guy from Bridgeport, Ohio, Phil Necro.
How about that?
I remember when we were talking and Bob Walk wanted to surprise Phil with a phone call on this show, and we made it happen. That was good stuff.
Yeah. The late Phil Necro.
Yep. He was one of the best.
Oh my gosh, what a gentleman.
Oh yeah.
Like I said before, one of my favorite sports broadcasting moments was a couple of years ago down in Atlanta, and this preceded your show with Phil, I believe, with Phil and Bob. But in the middle of an inning, somebody taps on my shoulder, and I take my headset off, and it's Phil Necro standing there in the booth.
Oh my
goodness! And Bob didn't see him initially.
Yeah.
And I stood up and, shook his hand, Mr. Necro, and I tapped Bob on the shoulder. Bob, look who's here to see you. I mean, Bob was like a little kid.
Yeah, he was like a little kid when we had him on the air with Phil.
He just absolutely adores the memories of his Braves days and talking about guys like Phil Necro. I mean, you want to light up Bob Walk? That's the way to do it. Talk about those days. Talk about Phil Necro, what a competitor, what a professional. Really cool stuff.
Did he ever play with Phil?
Yes, in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, I was just going to say, yeah. But Philadelphia was his first team, right? Because he was on that 80 World Series team.
He was the rookie. He won Game 1 of the 1980 World Series against the Kansas City Royals as a rookie. And one of the so-called stars of that Royals team was Clint Hurdle.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
that's
unbelievable. And then
unbelievable.
Bob got traded to the Phillies for Gary Matthews, and he was in Atlanta for a while. One of his managers was Joe Torre.
Whoa.
His pitching coach was Bob Gibson.
Oh my goodness.
And a few years ago, when Torre was, I don't think he was managing the Yankees at the time. He might have been just down with Major League Baseball in the commissioner's office, and he's behind the batting cage, and Bob and I were preparing to do a radio spring training game at then McKechnie, now Lecom Park, and Bob goes, "Oh, look, that's the guy that the first guy to fire me." And I looked down at the field and said, "What?" Because I know when Bob was in high school, and he worked like gas station jobs and so on. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That's the first guy to ever fire me." I got my binoculars. I'm looking around. I said, "Bob, come on. Come clean with me. What are you talking about?" He says, "Joe Torre's down there." I said, "What do you mean fired you?" "Well, he released me when I was an Atlanta Brave." So, unbeknownst to Bob, now this is a half hour later, I go down and I'm around the cage. And I walked in. I said, "Joe," Greg Rush, shook his hand, introduced myself. I said, "I was just up with Bob. He reminded me that you fired him." I said, "What?" I said, "You fired him when he was pitching for you in Atlanta." "No, I didn't fire him." I said, "Well, that was his term for releasing him." I don't know that Joe cared for that too much. I don't think he liked it.
Wow.
But then it was Chuck Tanner who had recommended the Pirates sign Bob Walk to a minor league free agent deal after the Braves let him go. Because one of Bob's pitching coaches was the great Johnny Sane
Yeah.
in the minor leagues. For the
What
Braves.
was the saying with Sane from Bob Prince?
It's Bob Prince, it was everyone. It was the saying around at the time, spawn, sane, and pray for rain.
Yeah, that's right.
Because those were the only two guys in the rotation they had.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
wild. I mean, think about that. Johnny Sane, who was a teammate of Chuck Tanner's with the Milwaukee Braves, and now Tanner's a manager of the Pirates, still good buddies. He calls Tanner and says, listen, we got a kid. We let him go. He's looking for a job. I think this guy can help you. And that's all Tanner needed to hear. So he calls Pete Peterson, the GM, and says, you got to sign this kid, Bob Walk. They did to a minor league deal. He started in Hawaii, where the Pirates AAA affiliate was.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an incredible pitching staff led by Bob. I think Mike Bilecki was also on that staff.
Yeah.
And in short order, he got to the big leagues, and this was like in the mid-'80s. And he resurrected his career. And, of course, to this day, is one of the more popular Pirates of all time, Bob Walk.
Yeah. Back to Chuck Tanner. What was he famous for as a ball player?
Well, he homered his first at bat.
Oh, I didn't think you'd get that. Okay.
We were talking, some radio station was talking, I believe today. Today's Kent Jacoby's birthday, Bill. I'm not near a computer. But someone told me today's Teek's birthday.
I don't know.
And then, of course, we got to talking about this 79 We Are Family team. And that led to the discussion, and this is something I'm sure you and Lola might want to think about, but I shouldn't I won't pretend to be a producer, so maybe I shouldn't have even said that, but I understand that Dave Parker has a book out, and he's now doing a kind of a book tour where he's publicizing it, and he's reaching out, his publicist, to various radio stations all over the country to help promote and pump up his book.
How can he remember, though? He can't remember my name.
He's struggled with that. But
by the way, today is Teek's birthday.
Oh, there you go.
How old do you think he is?
How old is Teek today? Oh my goodness. Wow. I will go with.
Hold it. I'm taking my shoes off so I can count on my toes. Okay.
I'm gonna say he's 70.
Hold on. 4.
That's a total guess.
4 from 11, 7. Okay. 74.
Wow, 74. How about that? Looks good for 74.
Yeah, well, you always have that look,
Oh, yeah.
And since he had the heart surgery, which I'm glad he really pulled through and he's doing well, he's lost a lot of weight. Looks like he can pitch again with that submarine pitch,
Yeah, well, that style saved a lot of, anybody that has that submarine style usually can pitch longer than the over-the-top deliveries because there's less strain, I guess, on the shoulder.
Yeah. What's the name of Dave Parker's book?
I think it's called The Cobra, A Life in Baseball, or something like that.
I'll check on it. We'll try and get him on the air.
Speaking of Chuck Tanner, of course, you know the inspiring story. And I don't know, I've not read the book or excerpts from the book yet. I don't know how much is in it. I imagine Chuck Tanner is prominent because he loved, Dave Parker loved Chuck Tanner. Yeah. But you know the story when Jim Rooker was pitching before Game 5 of the 79 World Series. The Pirates were down 3-1 to the Orioles at Three River Stadium, and Jim Rooker, an oft-injured pitcher that year and not a regular in the rotation, was basically picked by Tanner to start that day. And it so happens on that morning, of course, Chuck Tanner being from Newcastle, his mother, with whom he was very close, passed away. Yeah. And people wondered whether he would even show up. Yeah. Well, he did show up, and the players in the clubhouse said it was inspiring that he said, hey, listen, guys, all we did, we needed some help from above, so Mom decided to go up and pull some strings and help us. Yeah. And the players just, talk about inspirational. Yeah. So they go out, and of course they win that game, but Chuck would later say, and it is really awesome, the Pirates were, I think they had rallied in about the 6th inning. They were down 1-0, I think, through 5 with Rooker on the hill. They had to win Game 5, of course, to force a Game 6 and 7 in Baltimore. They were down 1-0. I think they scored a run, maybe 2, in one of these innings, might have been the 6th inning or so, and Parker comes to the plate with a couple men on, a couple outs, and they're Chuck, and you can just envision him, Bill, as the arms folded, in that dugout at River Stadium.
Yep, I see it now.
Looking at the action, you just see his arms folded and not saying anything, but watching the action. And anyway, Chuck Tanner would later say, in his mind, he speaks to his mother, and he says, "Well, Mom, here comes your favorite player, and if you're so good, Mom, that you're helping us win today, why not let Parker take this next pitch and just rip it over into left center field and hit that Cardinal sign, that logo? Remember how they had the team logo?
Logos, yep, on the field, yep.
Well, according to Chuck, the very next pitch, sure as shooting, he rips this pitch into the left center gap that skips off the turf and up against that logo, and they scored 2 runs, and it was the decisive, really hit for Game 5. Just phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I remember in Baltimore, because I was there in the locker room with the Pittsburgh media. I didn't ask it. I think somebody from what they call the Pittsburgh press asked the question, "Hey, you're down 3-1 against this great pitching staff." And Chuck said, and I think I have the quote somewhere on tape at home, "We have them right where we want them." And I looked at Charlie Feeney. I said, "This guy is crazy."
Yeah. Well, they used to say about Chuck, he was so optimistic that if he were the captain on the Titanic, he would have told the passengers they were just stopping for some ice.
Yeah, that was him. I never heard anything negative out of his mouth. Never.
One of the memories for me, I got to know Chuck in the front office, of course, but then he was a scout for the Brewers for a while. Phil Garner, when he was managing the Brewers, hired Chuck to be a scout for the Brewers. So he would be, of course, at Three Rivers behind home plate with that floppy hat he would wear all the time. And then, of course, into PNC Park. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe he was with the Indians at that point. But I remember being on the elevator with Chuck and a couple other fans heading up to the press box. Someone, of course, recognizes Chuck and says hi to him. And he says something about, "Hey, Chuck, what do you think of," and he might have said Manny Ramirez. And you remember Manny Ramirez was not in the best shape in the world.
No.
He had the long dreadlocks, and maybe wasn't considered the best hustler of all time. Manny being Manny is what they used to say. And someone said to Chuck about, "What do you think of a player like that?" And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, let me look at him. He's kind of lazy. He doesn't look the part." And Chuck says, "I don't know." Just then those fans leave, and the door closes, and he looks at me and he says, "I don't care if this guy is 400 pounds and has hair down to his ankles. He's going to hit me 40 homers and drive in 120 runs every year. I don't care what he looks like." And that was Chuck. That was old school. He loved giving younger players opportunities. He would talk about rookie players. Again, the name escapes me as to which rookie at this time was knocking on the door with the Pirates. I don't know who it was, but it was someone that people talked about maybe making the club out of spring training. And he, the way Chuck was too. He grabbed you by the shoulder with those huge hands. I mean, he was a strong man. And I mean, he was almost like rip your shoulder off. But he'd lean in and look at you face to face, and he'd say, "You know what I'd do if I were managing this team?" I said, "What's that, Chuck?" He'd be in my starting lineup opening day, and I'd play him every day. Yeah. This rookie. Man, what a man.
Yeah, he was the only guy that got along with Richie Allen.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Richie Allen says he turned his career around, basically.
Yeah.
I've heard, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself, I don't think I told you this one, but a friend of mine from Elwood City became real good friends with Richie Allen over the years. Because Richie lived up that way at Wampum, PA. And Richie became almost a recluse. He didn't go out much. He didn't want the fanfare. He was a guy who was miscast as a malingerer. He wasn't that at all. He was a classy, professional guy. And this gentleman that I know from Elwood City, when Steve Blass was having his day, the last game of the 2019 season, he said, Dick is in poor health, but he said, and he has not been to Three River Stadium or PNC Park or any major league ballpark since he retired. He's not gone anywhere. And this is, that was the year I think the Phillies retired his number, if I'm not mistaken, also. Anyhow, he says to me, he goes, but Richie told me, this is about a week before the Steve Blass day, Richie told me that if he can, he will allow me to pick him up because he doesn't drive anymore, practically in a wheelchair, but he wants to come to the game to honor Steve Blass. And I thought, what a man. And of course, a few days later, he winds up in the hospital and never recovers, and recently passed away. I also heard, remember Goose Gossage, Bill?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Remember when he was pitching for the Pirates in 1978?
Yep.
He would come out, and the Pirates promotion department actually had an actual goose walk behind him, like on a leash.
Yeah.
When he came in from the bullpen. But Goose Gossage was interviewed by a Chicago podcaster about a month ago, and this gentleman, Dick Allen's friend, sent it to me, and it's about a half-hour interview about everything, about baseball and everything, but mainly it was about Dick Allen, who had recently passed away. And Goose Gossage saying things like, if Dick Allen is not in the Hall of Fame, if he's not a Hall of Famer, then get rid of the Hall of Fame. He said he was the greatest player I've ever played with, against, or seen. He said he's bar none a surefire Hall of Famer. Of course, Dick Allen's not in the Hall of Fame. But then Goose Gossage went on to say, one of his greatest moments of his lifetime was when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame himself, Rich Gossage, in Cooperstown.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the year, probably early 2000s maybe. He goes up onto the podium, of course, big crowd. He gives a speech. They have the ceremony. There are a handful of others, I believe, that were inducted that day. And now the crowd starts to disperse, and Goose starts to walk off the stage, and two people walk up to him to congratulate him, and he looks. And it gives me goosebumps right now as I'm telling you this, because it gave me goosebumps when I heard Rich Gossage telling this story a couple weeks ago on this podcast. He started to cry as he's telling the story. He broke down on the air. He said, I look up, and who's standing there to congratulate me but Chuck Tanner and Dick Allen?
Whoa.
They had driven from Newcastle to Cooperstown unannounced. They didn't call for VIP treatment. They didn't call for special seating. They just went with the crowd just to be there for Goose Gossage's induction ceremony.
That's unbelievable.
And Goose, again, on the air, on this podcast, literally broke down and cried to tell the story.
Greg, guess what? We don't have enough time to talk about the current... what day do you have off next week, do you know?
I believe Monday and Tuesday, perhaps Friday.
Okay, maybe we'll talk Tuesday.
Okay.
All right?
Very good.
Great stories, man. Always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Tell Lola I said hi.
All right.
Weather's beautiful down here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 75 and sunny.
Goodbye, Greg.
Goodbye.
75 and sunny. We'll see those days sometime. Right now, I'm looking at the clock, and I see that I got to take a break. And we'll be right back and talk football with Ray Fittipaldo. And I'll pick his brain about Ben Roethlisberger coming back, taking a $5 million cut.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Chris Lawrence. Governor Jim Justice's next media briefing on the coronavirus will be at 10:30 this morning, a few minutes after the DHHR releases new COVID-19 case numbers. Thursday's release showed just 261 new COVID cases statewide and no deaths. The state's daily percent positivity rate, 2.69. The governor said earlier this week he may announce a further lifting of restrictions at today's briefing. You'll be able to watch that at 10:30 at WVMetroNews.com. The governor's income tax reduction plan is now in bill form. It was submitted to the legislature Thursday afternoon. Justice wants to cut the income tax by 60% beginning next January 1st. The governor says this can be an historic time for the state.
If we miss this opportunity, we will remember it and regret it
But if we move forward with this opportunity, you're going to see West Virginia really, really on the move.
Justice proposing an increase in other taxes to make up some of the difference of reducing the income tax bill. Details are posted this morning at WVMacroNews.com. The full House of Delegates will now consider a bill that relaxes regulations on above-ground storage tanks located close to drinking supplies. The bill was approved by the House Health Committee yesterday. Kanawha County Delegate Mike Pushkin says it's wrong to weaken the law that came after the 2014 Freedom Industries spill in the Elk River.
The water that you use to wash your clothes, the water that you use to bathe, you take all that stuff for granted until you don't have it. As somebody who didn't have it for quite some time, I don't take it for granted.
You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. The men's quarterfinals of the Mountain East Conference Tournament will take place today in Wheeling. You can see those games, all four, at WVMacroNews.com, starting at 11 o'clock. The women's semifinal round is set after 4 games yesterday. You can read more about that at WVMacroNews.com. High school boys basketball season ended abruptly nearly a year ago due to the pandemic, and the new season begins tonight across the state. Regular season to be played over a truncated 6-week period. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
Quicken Loans presents a Sports Flash driven by Jeep on the Watchdog. The Marshall women's basketball team defeated MTSU 72-49 in Murfreesboro Thursday night, getting 22 points from Savannah Wheeler. The women have won 3 of their last 4 as they go to 8-9. They'll face the Blue Raiders again tonight. Well, the men are home in Huntington tonight to take on the Charlotte 49ers. Marshall, 3rd in the East Division in Conference USA, have won 4 of their last 5 at 13-6 on the season and 7-5 in the conference. On Thursday in Morgantown, the 6th-ranked West Virginia Mountaineers beat TCU 76-67. West Virginia 11-5 in the Big 12. Jalen Bridges 22 points, 12 rebounds. They'll host Oklahoma State on Saturday. Also Saturday, Kentucky at Rupp Arena facing South Carolina. The Wildcats at 8-15 have lost 2 in a row after losing to Ole Miss Tuesday. For the latest sports updates, download the Score app today. It's free. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on the Watchdog.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You could save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, with today's low rates, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. With a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, you could consolidate and pay off high-interest debt, tackle home improvements that could add value to your home, or even set aside cash for your child's future education. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this, what can give you the technology to refinance easily and save money? Rocket can. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings rates on quick loans, internal data, rates and fees may apply. Call for cost information and conditions. See House letter, license in all 50 states, and MLS Consumer Access Federal.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
America means innovation, where new ideas are born, tested, and brought to the world.
America means determination, the grit, hustle, and hard work that built our country.
America means opportunity, where tomorrow has a chance to be better than today.
And America means home.
We've weathered a lot, and we've been told how divided we are.
But we're coming through it together.
By pushing forward together, we can thrive.
That starts by rebuilding America's infrastructure, our power generation, food production, manufacturing, and transportation networks.
Which means hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country.
It's an investment in our communities.
In roads, bridges, cleaner air, and water.
It's an investment in economic freedom and the promise of success for generations to come.
It's an investment in us.
It's going to take hard work, but we can get there.
And we'll be stronger for it. Because America means business. Let's get America back to work.
Let's invest in Ohio.
Let's invest in us. Learn more at let'sinvestinus.com. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions.
I'm not buying till I checked on Ford.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is There's one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doan Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doan Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doan Ford. Online at DoanFord.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doan Ford.
Tune in to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. on the Valley's favorite live and local talk radio station, The Watchdog.
Some days when in broadcasting I think I'm real good. There are a lot of days I'm bad. But on a day like today, I'm lucky. Last 3 times I've had Ray Fittipaldo on, I try and save him for breaking news. Well, we're 3 for 3. What was the news yesterday? Big Ben taking a cut. So who do we have the next day? Ray Fittipaldo. Hey, Ray, I was impressed. He turned down $5 million. That's like Lola took a pay cut so I could come here 11 years ago.
Yeah, you scared me there for a minute when you told me there was breaking news. I thought there was more breaking news today. I've had about enough for the week, so let's put it that way.
Well, you know, we heard from AB almost every day. Now we heard from AAB, better known as What's New or Always with Ben. You know what I mean? I got tired of hearing it every day, the speculation, and everybody can speculate, everybody can start rumors, but it's finalized. He's coming back next year. Instead of $19 million, correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to take $14 million.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week, Bill, or earlier this week. You know, taking a pay cut for Ben Roethlisberger, it's noteworthy. It's the first time that he's done it in his career, and, you know, he put his money where his mouth was. You know, he said he didn't care about his pay this year, and he took a $5 million shave. And I think, you know, more importantly for the Steelers, it freed up $15 million in cap space for them, and now they can go out, make a few moves. You know, they're not going to have a ton of space under the cap, but they can go out, maybe retain some of their own free agents, maybe sign an outside free agent or two. So looks like they're going to be able to maybe try to keep this thing together. We'll see how it goes. But listen, I give the guy credit for doing what he said he was going to do.
Is he going to adjust to the new system, the new offensive coordinator, or the quarterback coach? Because you know they're going to run the ball, and Ben doesn't like when they run the ball.
No, I think that's part of this whole equation. You know, these meetings with Art Rooney II and with Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, you would have to think, Bill, that all this stuff was hashed out. You know, that they're going to play in a different way than what they've been playing. Because, you know, if you go back to 2018, yeah, their stats were good that year, but they were not a good football team. They were not a good offense. And, you know, threw 2019 out the window because Ben wasn't there. But you saw the second half of last season, what they were doing was not working. So, yeah, I think, you know, if, you know, Ben buying in is a big part of this equation, but they think if he does buy in, and if they can run the ball better, and if they could take a little bit more pressure off him, they could have more success. And that's what it's going to take. Bill, you know they have a good defense. You know they got good receivers. If they could just get a better running game around him, it might make a little bit of a difference. I'm not saying they're going to contend for the Super Bowl or anything like that, but it might keep them in contention in what is a very, very tough AFC North.
You know what? We don't have the AB watch anymore. The Ben watch is gone. How about the Watt watch? How much is he going to make?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Joey Bosa contract is the one that he's going to be pointing for. I think Joey Bosa makes $27 million a year, and you know, it's interesting. that is the market value, but he is kind of an outlier. You know, you have to go down to like 22, 23 million for the edge rushers after him. So it's going to be interesting to see where T.J. Watt falls in. You know, he's been more productive than Joey Bosa. He's been able to stay healthier than Joey Bosa has. So you would think he would make in that neighborhood, but, you know, you always have to factor in, you know, is that the market value because the Chargers made a mistake, or is that what the Steelers are going to have to pay? That remains to be seen, but, you know, that'll be the number one contract
I know
that they want to do this summer.
I know Garrett makes, 22? What's Donald make?
Garrett actually makes 25. Donald makes...
Wow.
See, Donald's interior, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different, yeah.
I think Donald makes about 22, though, so any way you slice it, Bill, he's going to be making over 22, 23 million a year, I think.
Okay, Juju says he wants to stay in Pittsburgh as a Steeler. We all know his value is going to be tremendous. Couldn't they make a deal with him like, we'll give you 10 or 11 million and we'll extend that for so many years, but they could give him a big bonus, right? But the Steelers don't give big bonuses.
No, they don't. And they could do that to a certain extent. They could make his base salary about $1 million next year, and then they could take on those cap hits in future years. If they really wanted to do it, they could make that work. But they're up against it with the cap. They have all these other positions they have to fill. You know, center, left tackle, number 2 tight end. They just have a lot of different needs that have to be filled. And I don't want to say Juju's a luxury because, you know, he's been a very important part of this offense, but they do have Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and James Washington waiting in the wings. They could make that offense work without him. So it's just going to be a matter of how much they want to pay, and probably more importantly, how much Juju wants to stay for.
All right. Well, when's the deadline for free agency? 17th? Or it starts?
Free agency starts March 17th, but on March 15th, you'll hear a lot about agents negotiating deals, getting all the framework into place. So you'll start hearing about it on March 15th. All these players changing teams. It's going to be crazy.
What about the Patriots? Did I maybe misread or just forgot or just got screwed up because I can do that? Is it the Patriots that got over $50 million available?
In cap space, you're correct. They have a lot of money. Hey, Bill, that's what happens when you don't have a franchise quarterback. When Ben Roethlisberger comes off the books in 2022, the Steelers, for the first time in I don't know how long, the Steelers are going to have a lot of cap space, perhaps more cap space than any other team in the league.
All right, let's play the what-if game before I say goodbye. Thank you and have a good weekend. What if he has a good year, maybe a very good year, and he wants to come back? Will the door still be open?
Bill, I would cross that bridge when I come to it. I think, if he played great, and, let's just say they won a Super Bowl, maybe they would consider that again. They would want him to come back, but all signs are pointing to this to be a one-year deal, sort of his last go-around, and that's the way I'm forecasting it right now.
We'll call it the Ben Goodbye Tour.
Swan song. Ben Swan song.
I like that. Ben Swan song. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk next week. Hopefully something else will come up. We can always talk about the draft. I know you're on your 16th draft? Because you're gonna hit it, man.
next week, Bill, look out for guys getting cut. That's the next step. A lot of guys getting cut.
Okay. All right. Thank you, man, and have a good weekend.
All right, Bill. Talk to you later.
All right. Yeah, that's right. If 2022, they'll have a ton of money. And, if I'm talking about it now, that the Steelers are thinking about, that how much can we make? Because, with free agency, but the Patriots, I think, have $54 million where they can get 3 or 4 good players. And remember, they had 6 starters, 3 of them Pro Bowlers, did not play in 2020. They decided to take off because of COVID-19. I'm going to take off now. We're going to take our final break, all right? And coming up, we have basketball, by the way, at 2 o'clock. The West Liberty University Hilltopper men's basketball team will take on Concord at 2 o'clock on the Watchdog, and Fairmont State at 8 o'clock will take on West Virginia State. By the way, the Mountain East Conference Tournament is sponsored by the Hilltoppers out of West Liberty University. I'm Bill, that's Lola. Hopefully you know who you are. If not, I got some doctors you can talk to. We'll be right back.
Wake up to the Ohio Valley's favorite morning show, The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on The Watchdog.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I love living local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Said I love living local. WTRF is working for me. The Ohio Valley is where I love to be.
Cameron, the Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Cameron trusts the Watchdog. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
America means innovation, where new ideas are born, tested, and brought to the world.
America means determination, the grit, hustle, and hard work that built our country.
America means opportunity, where tomorrow has a chance to be better than today.
And America means home.
We've weathered a lot, and we've been told how divided we are.
But we're coming through it together.
By pushing forward together, we can thrive.
That starts by rebuilding America's infrastructure, our power generation, food production, manufacturing, and transportation networks.
Which means hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country.
It's an investment in our communities.
In roads, bridges, cleaner air and water.
It's an investment in economic freedom and the promise of success for generations to come.
It's an investment in us.
It's going to take hard work, but we can get there.
And we'll be stronger for it. Because America means business. Let's get America back to work.
Let's invest in Ohio.
Let's invest in us. Learn more at let'sinvestinus.com. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions Forum.
Who's got a birthday today? Happy birthday to you!
We're back here at the radio station, and on the line we have Rocky Blyer. Hey, Rocky. Rocky, I lied to you. I didn't call you last minute because I had to say something to get you on the air. I have no questions about the Super Bowl like I told you. It's called fake sports. I wanted to call you because, I like to drop names. Right. And here we have 4 guys called the Beatles. They have a message for you. You like that? You like that?
I like that. I like that. Mr. DeFabio, you're one of a kind.
Yes, if there's another one like me, I'll shoot him.
That's right. Well, he's already been shot.
Yeah, I am shot at times. Sometimes I just, you know what it's like. I'm not going to tell the people you're 75 today. I promise I won't mention it. Off the record, I'm not going to tell them you're 75.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rocky, I can't believe you're only 6 years older than me. I thought you'd be like 10 or 15 years older than me.
So it's a matter of how well you take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
That's right. Compared to you,
okay. I'm 3 for 3. I surprised Franco on his birthday. And I surprised Joe Green, who didn't know it was his birthday. I like Joe. When I first got to talk to him on the phone, I got his phone number and everything. It was about 4 years ago. I said, Joe, how are you? He says, how'd you get my phone number? Joe, you gave it to me. Oh, okay. I guess that's what happens when you get old, right?
Yes, you forget. Now, what's your name again?
Jose Jimenez.
I hope I made your day. I can't afford to send you a cake because they're expensive. So I'm going to send you 2 Hostess Twinkies.
That'll be fine. I will accept them. So I appreciate that very much. Just to be able to have me on your show, it's an honor to do that. So
well, I told Lola I hope I'm lucky, and I was lucky. So we had everything planned, but I had to tell a little lie to get you on because you're probably thinking. You even said, "What number is this?" It's a hotline number.
That's right. I'm going to say, "What number is this?" All right. Okay. Yes, it is.
We won't talk about that 66 game that Air played for a tie. We're done with that. Okay.
That's right. That's in the past.
How have you been, my man?
I've been fine, thank you very much, and survived this COVID so far, and so it's been okay.
Yeah.
A little boring at times, but we're back in business.
Have you been confined to the men's room? Not the men's room, but the man cave?
I had been for a while, and then I am back going to the office now, and so that's the important thing. So I was very fortunate I was able to get my my shots. So I've got those, and still being concerned, and socially distanced and wearing a mask, but just gives you a little sense of security along the way because of that.
Hey, I'd like to take you out for a birthday dinner, only if you would flip the bill for me or take the bill, okay? Hey, I got to ask you.
I'll do that just to have you in my presence. That's right.
Hey, I got to ask you about Jack Lambert. Did you hear what he did earlier this week?
No, I haven't.
Oh, come on. It's big news. He is selling a lot of his collectibles.
Okay.
He's selling the container that he put his false teeth in during the games. The opening bid is $300, and I think it's up to $5 something. Who in the hell would want a container that he would put his false teeth in?
Well, just some collector out there because it's Jack Lambert.
Well, you ought to put the false teeth in there too.
And they may be in there for another price.
Did you ever hear the hairpiece story?
No.
Well, Bradshaw and I used to endorse hairpieces.
Right.
So I wasn't afraid to take mine off. I remember doing a big banquet with Myron Cope, and I took it off and threw it at him and landed in his soup. And he took it out of his soup, and he goes, "What are you going to do now?" So I pulled another one out of my suit coat and taped it on my head and continued to talk. There was a Y108. Remember that radio station? I was fired from there too. We did a gun shoot, a clay pigeon gun shoot, at a place called Target out in Cranberry. A lot of ex-Steelers there. Lambie was there, Greg Lloyd was there, and it was a hoot. We raised thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, we were a little bit short after the shoot. So Lambert said, "You know what we ought to do? We ought to shoot the Fabio's hairpiece." So Larry Richard, you know him, he got a piece of cardboard. They stapled my hairpiece to the cardboard. He ran down this little hill, threw it up in the air, and about 30 guys paid $25 to shoot my hairpiece. We're still a few dollars short of what they wanted to make for charity. So Lambert said, "Let's shoot the Fabio." Next thing you know, they're lining up with $50 bills to shoot me. Lambie, I said, "What the hell are you doing? Are you nuts?" He says, "It's for charity, Bill." And I'm there. I know a lot of Jack.
My roommate.
Who's your roommate?
Lambert.
Lambert was your roommate? That's like night and day. He's crazy and you're soft-spoken. How'd you guys get along?
That's why we put it together. I think it was, as I tell people, I think it was a study on Chuck's part.
Yeah.
To see the effects of good versus evil in close proximity.
Oh my God! He went to a little school, Kent State. Well, they're Division I, and you went to big time, overtime, overrated Notre Dame.
Right.
Oh boy, oh boy. But Lambert, people were talking about. Can you imagine his container?
That's right, his container. Wow.
I wonder if he signs it. Knowing Jack, he'd probably have to charge more to sign it.
If he can get more for it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Was there a meaner player on your team or in the league than when he played in his prime?
No, we're define mean.
Well, I remember he got in the face of Tony Dorsett during the Super Bowl. He got in the face of, who was the guy in Cleveland? He almost stuck his finger in his helmet. The running back, 34.
Oh, I can't remember. But they all deserved it. For some reason, that they all deserved Lambert being in their face.
And how about Super Bowl 10? When Jarrella missed the, a field goal? And Cliff Harris? Yeah. Did that turn the game around? Did you guys say?
And I'm going to tell you just, and I thought it had an impact of turning the game around. It really did, from an emotional point of view. I thought we played differently after that. Yes.
He would have been thrown out today, you know.
Oh, I know that. Hey, you couldn't do that stuff. No, not at all.
Yeah. That running back was from Oklahoma. What the hell was his name?
Yeah.
Wore 34. Lambert threw him for a loss, and he stuck his fist almost right through his helmet. But Jack was something. We would go over his locker, and he would say, "You're going to have to put the words in here. Get the hell away from me, you idiots." And then 10 minutes later, "Come on, guys," like nothing happened.
Right, yeah. That's the way it was.
That was a good locker room. Those days were gone, man. Guys hide. They go to a game room and play PlayStation 6, 7, or 8, whatever the hell it is. A lot of them pull out their cell phones like they're on the cell phone, but I can tell the cell phones are not turned on.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think it was a good locker room. And I think the thing about it was that guys wanted to talk to the press, or at least be asked, to be talked. It was like a little free publicity and recognition. So, but not like today. No, I agree with you.
I have a Bradshaw head. He put hairpieces on with one of his hairpieces. I should put it on eBay.
Who knows?
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to send it to Howie Long so he can put it on the set during a football game. 2 Bradshaws on the same set.
I don't know if we could stand that. But
hey, Terry was a little bit crazy. Not the smartest guy in the world, but he's laughing all the way to the bank.
All the way, and still does, yes.
Well, Rocky, I hope you enjoyed the surprise.
I did very much. Thank you to announcing it to the world, all 3 of your listeners out there. So.
Wait a minute. We've added 3 more because my grandparents moved into town.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
No, hey, we have a hell of an audience. Sometimes I'll give the wrong score just so people will call and say DeFabio got the score wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I was worried. I said, gee, it worked with Franco, it worked with Joe. I hope it works with Rocky. Now I'm 3 for 3.
That's very good, and it did. So
and today is Kent DeColby's birthday's today.
Who's?
Kent DeColby.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh. He's not as old as you. Hey,
that's right.
Rocky, you're one of my favorites.
Thank you, Billy, for calling.
Hey,
it's a pleasure.
Have a happy birthday, my friend.
Will do.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, 3 for 3. All right. Lola, have a good weekend. No Big Rick on the Big Rick Show because we got big-time basketball coming up. Coming up in a few minutes, West Liberty University men's basketball will take on Concord at West Banco. I'm out of here.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling.